rewarded with a sweep of the Mariners in Seattle. Tonight, a recharged Angels lineup charges into town after a sweep of their own. Which hot streak will survive? From Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, Comcast Sportsnet brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight, the Astros open a 6-game homestand. It's the first of 3 with the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown and Alan Ashby. Alan and Jeff Blum presiding over a 4-3 Astros road trip. And now both clubs coming into this game have won 3 in a row, Ash.
And the Angels are rather red hot. They've won 15 of their last 20 after a real dismal period on their schedule, but they've turned it around, playing good baseball. The Astros trying to keep this winning streak alive.
They had a good stretch of offense there during their 3-game sweep in Seattle, and they're 2 of the principals.
Absolutely. Top of the order, Jonathan Villar. Here on the road trip, hitting .313, 10 for 32 in that span. Had his first Major League home run and 5 RBIs, running the bases like crazy. On the other side, Altuve, even hotter with the stick. 4 doubles mixed in, driving in runs, stealing bags. It's been a deadly duo there at the top of the order for the Astros. And you can see that first Major League home run for Jonathan Villar in Seattle. That was back in the legit area in Seattle. From the left side of the plate, slashing it around the field. And again, that running game, huge for what Jonathan Villar likes to do. When he's running, boy, the Astros just look like a team that's afire. Jose Altuve, stinging the ball to right field is a key in his game, and he did that consistently in Seattle, putting up great numbers on the road trip, hitting .364. As we talked about, the doubles key for Jose, and stealing some bags of his own. He had 4 stolen bases on this winning road trip.
And the Angels pulling off that sweep in Toronto also have had their hot sticks lately, and they have some home run power. Mark Trumbo's really been letting it out lately for them.
Mark Trumbo is driving it. Mike Trout has stayed hot, second in the league in batting average, trying to put the pressure on Cabrera, but he just stings it around the ballpark. You really can't line up against him the way he'll drive the ball to all fields, and he's putting up terrific numbers, as is Mark Trumbo, who's starting to hit the home run ball with regularity. Now over 30 in terms of home runs, 4 here in the month, and 9 RBIs. And when you're talking Angels, you're also talking a little bit of Josh Hamilton, who started to heat it up a bit his first month of the year, hitting .300 to this point, .359, and a dinger here in the month of September.
Good matchup of 2 teams swinging the bats well. Leila Rahimi has more on the Astros, and they're hitting with runners in scoring position in just a moment.
First pitch of the final series of the year between the Angels and the Astros. And the Astros just finished a 20-game stretch where after a day off now, they had played 20 games in a row leading up to this. And it was a series and a stretch where the Astros hitters showed significant progress, namely finishing it off strong with that sweep against the Seattle Mariners. Here are their numbers with runners in scoring position in the month of September, significantly higher than the rest of their April to August stretch previous to that. .357 compared to .244 batting average, and slugging percentage .487 compared to .412. A big reason for that, Matt Dominguez. Dominguez had an excellent road trip. He ended up with 4 RBI over 7 games, and for the season, he's driven in 70 runs. Had .385 on base percentage on the road trip, also hitting .304. And Bo Porter said the biggest difference Dominguez has made, along with the rest of the Astros hitters, is they are not swinging at pitches outside of the strike zone, therefore getting better counts and better pitches. And that has led to a better performance by the Astros hitters. We will see if they can continue it here with their set against the Angels at Minute Maid Park. Coming up, first pitch, the Astros starters did a great job against the Seattle Mariners. Can Dallas Keuchel continue that momentum here in Houston? We'll find out after the break. First pitch coming up from Minute Maid Park.
By Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And by Progressive. Visit progressive.com today. Astros back home on a big and bright Friday night with the orange uniform tops and the white pants. They take the field For the first of 3 with the Angels, they are 9-7 against the Angels, but 2-4 here in their home ballpark. Each ball club has swept the other in this season series on the road in a 3-game set. So as the Astros go out after win number 51, here's the lineup they will be facing tonight for Mike Socha. Eric Ibar leads it off at shortstop. It's Howie Kendrick at second base. Just returning to the lineup after an injury, Mike Trout's the center fielder with Mark Trumbo at first base. Josh Hamilton's the DH batting 5th. He's followed by catcher Chris Iannetta, right fielder Cole Calhoun, left fielder Chris Cowgill, and third baseman Andrew Romine.
On the mound for the Astros tonight, 25-year-old left-hander Dallas Keuchel, 5-9 with a .499 ERA. His last time out against a hot Oakland A's ball club, got roughed up in 3 1/3 innings, 10 hits and 5 earned runs allowed in that one by Dallas.
You and Jeff pointed out he was trying to pitch inside, not getting a whole lot of calls on the inside corner in that game, Ash.
Really seemed to be the case. There are times when you can just paint it inside edge time and time again. Can't get a call. Eventually you have to come back to the heart of the plate. And that's what I felt like that night was about for Dallas.
Now it's Ibar leading it off. And the Angels check in with 70 wins and 76 losses. Ibar looks at ball 1. 267 is his average, including 6 homers. He's driven in 52. He scored 59 this year. Ibar, 29 years old, from the Dominican Republic. His older brother Willie was a Braves infielder. Gets right down into that crouch and takes a strike for a 1-1 count. Laz Diaz signifies it is strike 1. Keuchel shoots for win number 6 of the year. Little tapper to shortstop. It stays down and hit the edge of the grass there, and Jonathan Villar stayed down with it for out number 1.
Defensively for the Astros tonight, behind the plate, it'll be Cody Clark. And he has been a fixture back there recently for Keuchel. Around the infield, Chris Carter, Jose Altuve, Jonathan Villar, and Matt Dominguez. In the outfield, Brandon Barnes, flanked by AT HOU and Trevor Crowe.
Howie Kendrick returns to the lineup for the first time since August 5th when he collided with his outfielder Colin Cowgill, chasing a pop fly, and he hyperextended his left knee on the play. He had been out ever since until tonight. 301 for Kendrick, 11 homers, 47 driven in. Very good hitter who takes a strike to make him 1-1. This guy is a solid right-handed bat, a .292 career hitter. 29 years old, from Jacksonville, Florida. That's a great pitch. He was waving over the top of that one. It's 1-2.
Here are conversations about best second baseman in the game, and seldom do you hear the name Howie Kendrick, and yet I think statistically he has inserted himself in that conversation.
Little tap goes foul. Back to that previous pitch, that slider. Boy, Dallas Keuchel had some serious tilt on that one, Ash.
Might have even taken a hair off velocity wise. It's a tight looking beard going on.
Yeah. That time of year, isn't it? Fall is coming. Back to that pitch we wondered about.
We'll see the slider. There's no doubt about that. Look at the bat of Kendrick, maybe out in front, certainly over as that slider bites down and in.
He shoots this one up the middle and spanks it on into center field. That pitch was up and right in his wheelhouse. He turned it into a 1-out single. Kendrick's aboard for Mike Trout.
Dallas Keuchel is one of those guys who is likely to give up more hits than innings throughout a career, however long he may be out there. Just doesn't have the great fastball. Command is always the key issue for Dallas.
Now Trout, the 22-year-old superstar, running second in the league in many departments offensively. He leads in runs scored with 101. He's hitting .335. That is second. 23 homers, 85 runs batted in for Trout. He's tied for the league lead in hits with 181. Fantastic year for Trout. And there's strike 1 to him. An all-star again this year, as he was last year. Is there anything this guy can't do, Ash?
I haven't seen it. He can do all the key things, hitting for power, certainly for average. He'll get on base. He'll run. Just a spectacular player. Some say his defense has gone down this year. I don't see that.
Last year he played with a cape on most of the time, so maybe he set too high a standard. We wouldn't be able to make a determination on that. We don't see him enough, do we?
See, I think that is the issue. I think last year with all the highlight reels going up and over walls, into walls, maybe through walls, he did set the bar a bit high. And if he comes up shy of that, people maybe think, well, he's not as good defensively this year.
He looks at a ball, and it's 1-2. For Dallas Keuchel, you mentioned last start kind of a clinker for Dallas. The two before that were outstanding, but he got a no decision here. 7 shutout innings against Toronto. And he got a loss here, 3-1, giving up 3 runs in 7 innings against Seattle. Not a lot of run support in those two for Dallas. And that's been the situation, as you're well aware, for many of the Astros starting pitchers throughout the season.
Very intriguing stat involving Mike Trout. The 2 guys leading the American League in hits right now, Mike Trout and Manny Machado, 2 youngsters that came on last year.
This fly ball will bring in Hose in right field, and he started very deep and got there for out number 2. Yeah, the talented young players in the game are really numerous right now, aren't they?
Spectacular stuff. And you talk Manny Machado, it's a different argument somewhat. He's a third baseman, terrific, makes all the plays. Many people say maybe the best third baseman in the game now. But Mike Trout is clearly one of the best players, and you don't have to say young players in the game.
33 homers for Mark Trumbo, 93 runs batted in, a .244 average. That's a hard .244. He's on an 8-game hitting streak right now. Very dangerous guy. Time call. So Trumbo, who's 10th in the league in total bases, is kind of an all or nothing in many regards. He struck out 164 times, 33 homers, 29 doubles, showing the power. And taking ball 1. Trumbo's hit 12 home runs against left-handed pitching. That's 3rd best in the American League.
He's a versatile guy defensively, too. The Angels utilize him in numerous positions.
He takes that one, and it's a 2-ball, no strike count to Trumbo. Josh Hamilton on deck. Angels are 5th in runs scored in the American League. The problem has been on the mound for them, but they have been missing Albert Pujols, as you're well aware, and Hamilton has had a down year. So it seems that their choice to go for offense really was not a good direction for them to take last winter. 3 balls, no strikes, and probably unfair to hamstring Mike Scioscia. With that, he wasn't involved in those decisions, and he's had to manage this particular club, which has fallen far short of expectations with a high payroll. 4-pitch walk to Trumbo, and that was quite obvious that Dallas Keuchel preferred to work to Hamilton next.
And I wonder a bit if you give offense a bit of a bad name, because had they gotten the offense they thought they were getting in getting Josh Hamilton and Albert Pujols along with others in this same lineup, it might have been a very different story.
Important point you're making. Now Hamilton, a .245 hitter with 20 homers, has driven in 67 runs. And the infield is shifted around as always on him, with Altuve out in short right field. Hamilton takes it, and it's ball 1 in the dirt. Cody Clark doing the catching tonight. That's been the case. This is the 4th consecutive Dallas Keuchel start, finding Clark behind the dish.
And he's earned his stripes back there. There is no question about his throwing game. Calls a nice game. Really keeps it snappy for the pitchers. Good looking defensive player.
Hamilton swings at it, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Josh has had difficulties hitting left-handed pitching. Last year he hit 43 bombs, drove in 128 for the Texas Rangers. Against the Astros, his numbers are outstanding. .309, 6 homers, 9 runs batted in. But any manager who faces Josh Hamilton would rather see a left-hander up there against Josh, unless that right-hander is somebody of the highest caliber, like a Max Scherzer type guy.
You're talking 195 against the lefties. The home runs go decidedly down.
Well, that's important too. Nice stop there by Clark to note the power production in addition to the average, because that's what big innings are made of. A guy who has that kind of power, an occasional opposite field single, lefty on lefty, is not going to do the damage.
If you look at some of the numbers on Hamilton this year against right-hand pitching, they're okay. On base percentage, 340 above the league average.
Oh, he just didn't look comfortable at all and struck out. No runs a hit, 2 men left, no score. Now the Astros come up with Bo Porter's club, having won 50 and lost 96, and going with Jonathan Villar, Jose Altuve, Trevor Crowe, Brandon Laird, the DH, Matt Dominguez, Chris Carter, LJ Host, Cody Clark, and Brandon Barnes.
On the hill for the Angels tonight, 30-year-old left-hander Jason Vargas, 8-6, 3.76 the ERA. Last time out, a no decision against the Texas Rangers. 6 innings, allowing just a couple of runs in that one, so a quality start. Won back-to-back games in late August.
He was a second-round pick of the Marlins back in 04, 30 years old. And Vargas, quite capable left-hander. Born in Seattle, went to Long Beach State along with Jared Weaver. Has come off a 14-11 season last year for Seattle to join this Angel club after the Kendrys Morales trade brought him to the Angels. And there's a shot into left field. Jonathan Villar banged it out for a leadoff single to open this Astros first inning.
Defensively for the Angels tonight, starting behind the plate, it'll be Chris Iannetta. Around the infield, Mark Trumbo at first, Howie Kendrick, Eric Ibar, and Andrew Romine round out the infield. In the outfield, Mike Trout in center, flanked by Cole Calhoun in right and Colin Cowgill in left.
Leadoff man on. Jonathan Villar has 17 steals in 23 tries. Trumbo's playing off the bag at first. Jose Altuve is the batter. He looks at strike one. Starting the night at 279. 4 homers, 49 runs batted in for Jose Altuve. And earlier, if you were with us, you saw how well he hit on the road trip. He went 6 for 16, driving in 3 against the Mariners. They snapped his 7-game hitting streak Wednesday. 0-2. 364 on the road trip, giving him quite a start to the month of September. It works out to a 412 average for the month. 21 hits and 52 at bats. Leads the majors in hits and batting average this month. He's had 3 3-hit games and 1 4-hit game in September. There's Ibar getting it on to second base, and no turn by Kendrick. A slow developing play. Villar is forced from 6-4 for out number 1.
Altuve puts it on the ground, and not one of those plays where you think, oh, this has got to be a double play. They might have had a shot had Kendrick been able to send this on to first base, but you've got to get that lead out, and that's been an issue at times in recent games for the Astros.
Trevor Crowe at 235 with a homer, has 10 runs batted in. With Altuve with 35 steals on at first. There's an opening on the right side of the infield. Pitch is outside, and it's ball 1. Jason Vargas is 0-1 against Houston with a 6.19 ERA for 3 career starts. The loss came when he was a member of the Marlins way back in 05. Runner goes. They've got him if they execute. Trumbo with a throw and the tag by Ibar, and Altuve's gunned down. A 1-3-6 play for out number 2.
And this is not the result of a great pickoff move, anything but it's runner going on first move, and that's what happens with a lefty on the mound. You feel like a lot of the time, especially if he's somewhat quick to the plate, you've got to go on first move, take your chances, and when you're wrong, you're just dead to rights.
Now Crowe looks at that one. It's ball 2 to Trevor. Trevor's hit safely in 10 of his last 13 games. Getting a chance at this everyday playing time now here in September. That's a strike, and it's 2-1.
And he's responded very well.
Hit .302 for those last 13 games, and if it hadn't been for Jeff Blum interviewing him, he'd probably be on a lengthy hitting streak right now.
He's the hottest player in baseball. There's no doubt about that.
3 balls and a strike.
I started hammering Jeff the game when Trevor took the 0 for 5, the night when the interview took place, and it carried on over into the next game. And I think Jeff actually started to feel bad about the way things were going.
And Trevor appeared on camera and called him out.
He did.
Ground ball in the hole. Backhanded Ibar puts something on this throw, and the stretch by Trumbo gets some good play. And it's no runs a hit, nobody left, and no score after 1.
Enhances your Astros experience via computer, smartphone, or tablet. Get in-depth stats and join the social buzz. In-game live only on CSNHouston.com. And we got an update on Astros catcher Jason Castro. Before the game, Castro had to deal with his cyst in his right knee again. Had to have it drained earlier this month, if you guys remember. And he said he has to be reevaluated today. Both Borders said it is a situation, especially with the end of September looming, where if Castro's ready to go and the staff says he's ready to go, they want him to play. But if there's any chance that this could linger into the offseason, they're going to keep a really close eye on it. So still no Castro and still being evaluated. Let's send it back upstairs.
Thanks, Layla. 1 ball, 1 strike to Chris Iannetta. He swings at that off-speed offering for a 1 ball, 2 strike count for Iannetta, the veteran who's 30 years old, from Providence, Rhode Island. 224, 9 homers, 35 runs batted in. J.D. Martinez, though, is back to the active roster tonight. He was just added right before the game. Just joined the ball club tonight. Struck him out, and Keuchel really changed speeds well to get Iannetta.
It's exactly the game that Keuchel has to go to. The changing of speed, spotting it well, and keeping it down, always critical. And trust your catcher when you're going to throw that strikeout pitch in the dirt.
Keuchel is out number 1 and faces Cole Calhoun now. Calhoun getting some playing time here in September in right field. Has hit .303.
Ronnie, you mentioned J.D. Martinez. July 26th, the last time he played in a game with the Astros. It's been a while.
Boy. Yeah, he just showed up today before the game, and a lot of the media didn't realize he would be here. He had been working out in Florida, coming back from that injury you talked about in July. So it has been a long-term thing. But Bo Porter was saying before the game, well, he hasn't faced any live pitching, so he won't be activated yet. But then apparently he had some good rounds of batting practice because he's now eligible.
You know, tough from his perspective. At the time, he was starting to swing the bat well. He had 2 hits in 3 at-bats in the game he went down. In a 2-week period, had jumped his batting average up to 256 from 243. So yeah, he was maybe starting to feel like he was putting it together.
2 balls, 2 strikes, just about 2 weeks to go. 2 weeks from Sunday, the season ends. So there's still some at-bats, some innings, and they could be important to some of these players regarding how they're treated for next year by their ball clubs in the planning. Struck him out, and that's 3 strikeouts in a row for Keuchel.
This slider, the way he's spotting it right now, looks like it's deadly on the left-hand hitters.
Two strikeouts here, 3 in a row, and Cowgill the batter now. Colin at 236 has 1 homer, and he's driven in 6. He looks at strike 1. Cowgill, 27 years old. He was born in Kentucky, Lexington, and went to the University of Kentucky. Keuchel misses there, and the count's even at 1-1. Colin played with Oakland last year. Had 104 at-bats, and he was with Arizona the year before. He's one of those unusual players who throws left and bats right.
Just haven't been many of those through the years.
Nope. Not too many at all.
There's not a bad player that had that unusual combination. Ricky Henderson.
Absolutely. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cleon Jones, Carl Warwick. How many others can we name? We might not be here very long. There's not too many come to mind. Swing and a miss, and he strikes out the side here in the 2nd inning to keep this game scoreless for Dallas Keuchel. Park in downtown Houston, Texas. Fans greeting the Astros as they come off that West Coast road trip. A trip which found them getting to bed at what, 8 a.m. Alan Ashby?
Somewhere in that vicinity. Depended if you wanted to stick around and get your luggage at the end of the trip, or just go ahead and bolt like I did. But yeah, it was a morning of nap time.
Brandon Laird at 209 takes strike 1. 3 homers and 8 runs batted in for Brandon. He had a very consistent season at AAA Oklahoma City. After an earlier trial with the Astros, this is his 10th start of the year. Little roller brings Vargas over. He braces and throws to take care of out number 1. Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game. Brought to you by Miller Lite. So it was a day of trying to catch some sleep for some of the players and traveling party. Others had various assignments that would not allow them to get much sleep. And then the problem is trying to get to bed again last night, for instance, if you had slept until 2:30 in the afternoon, right?
It's always the tricky aspect.
Matt Dominguez takes strike 1. 242 for Matt, 19 homers, 70 runs batted in. He has done a lot of damage against this Angel club, hitting .304 with 2 homers, 13 runs batted in against the Angels. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
Jason Lane, another one of those guys who threw left-handed, batted right-handed, former Astro.
That's right. Fastball missing, takes the count to 2 balls and a strike. Fastball has not been an effective pitch for Vargas this season, with a batting average of .372 against the fastball, slugging percentage of over .600 against it. Ooh, he changed speeds a little bit, and it's a 2-ball, 2-strike count. So that becomes an issue sometimes with a pitcher who thinks that he might be able to give the hitter a fastball look and then come off that to another pitch.
2-1 count is a fastball count, and you throw that change effectively, and that's where you really have a hitter.
3-2. He's been working upstairs to Domingo here. Layla talked about how Matt Dominguez has hit very well with men in scoring position. And that time a strikeout for out number 2. First strikeout for Vargas. Vargas with respectable numbers at 3.76 ERA, 8 wins and 6 losses. Coming into this game tonight, gave up the leadoff single to VR. The guy's ready for battle, isn't he? Now Chris Carter, 222 for Chris, 27 homers. He's driven in 77.
The one jump in my face number for Vargas this year is the way the left-hand hitters have handled him, hitting .347. Righties just .245.
Carter looks at it. It's a strike to Chris. Chris has driven in 17 runs against the Angels, with 6 home runs against them this year. .314 is his batting average. He hit .273 on the road trip and drove in 4. Both these lefties are changing speeds tonight, and they both have 2 scoreless in the books. Back with the third in a moment.
Tune into Chevy Hometown Kids every Saturday morning at 9:30 on CSN. Chevy Hometown Kids, where it's not about the score, but the experience. Let's send it back upstairs.
Thanks, Layla. Got a question for you and Ash. There's strike one to Andrew Romine, third baseman, hitting .211, and he's driven in 3 runs so far this year in limited playing time. Romine takes that one as well. Romine's had just 57 at bats. Both of you grew up in Southern California. And the Angels, of course, an expansion team in the early 1960s in Southern California, right there in Anaheim. But they're now the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. So how does this whole name change go, do you think, with the people who live there?
Well, Bill Brown, I'd say some people take it with a grain of salt, especially in Los Angeles County.
Yeah.
There's a fun shirt that makes an appearance at Chavez Ravine from time to time that says the Los Angeles Dodgers of Los Angeles.
But their owner, Artie Moreno, obviously feels that identification with Los Angeles will help the image of his club. So that's his decision. And now they're apparently negotiating with the city of Anaheim on the stadium issue. From what we're hearing, they would either like to have a new stadium, maybe on the same spot as the present one, or just the ability to run the stadium they have, and they would take over the maintenance costs from the city of Anaheim. But they would also get the right to develop the land outside the stadium, from what we're hearing.
It is on a nice piece of real estate. A lot of highways there, just near close to the 5 as well.
Well, that's true.
You know, it's still one of the beautiful ballparks in baseball. They've done a great job, like Dodger Stadium, in keeping it current and well fixed up. So I don't see that a new stadium is really something needed for the Angels.
VR takes care of out number 2.
But I think they could use a new name. I for one, am not a big fan of Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. I think it reeks in the sense that Anaheim and Orange County can stand up on their own. They don't need LA to make them anything, in my opinion. I don't understand what happens in terms of the contract for the ball club with the name Los Angeles in front of it. But if I were still living out there in the Orange County area, I would probably not be tickled about my ball club called the LA Angels of Anaheim.
But there used to be the California Angels, Layla.
Guys, let me put it to you this way. There are days where it takes you less time to get from Anaheim to San Diego than it does to get to Anaheim to LA.
Yeah, I believe it.
I would know.
Yeah,
well, then
know.
Let's call them the San Diego Angels of Anaheim.
Oh, Padres fans, what would they say about that?
Howie Kendrick belts one up the right field line, slams on the brakes as LJ House gets to it, and he has his second single of the night. Well, it's been kind of a confusing time for baseball fans in other parts of the country. They don't fully understand these things, but apparently the name is not going to be changed. From what we're hearing, it will be known going forward as the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
I think that Nash and I will continue to have a good time by just making random geological and geographical references like Yorba Linda and maybe Riverside.
I'm good with Pacific Rim. I think I might as well take it all in, provide them the largest possible income that could come their way, and just bring all of Asia and everywhere into play.
Mike Trout takes ball 1. That ball hit up the right field line was only a single as LJ House got over and held Kendrick. Usually a ball hit by a right-handed hitter, unless he's being played as an extreme opposite field hitter, hit in that area of the field would be a double. And it's 2 balls, no strikes now.
What do you think, Brownie, in terms of that name of the Angels?
I think it's bogus.
There you go. There, we're getting to the heart of the matter here.
Well, you asked. 3-0. What's wrong with the California Angels?
Yeah, you know that the Minnesota Twins haven't had any problems with their name. It used to be the Florida Marlins. Of course, they are no longer the Florida Marlins, but they are not the Tampa Bay Marlins of Miami.
Seem to be a team in search of identity. There's a 4-pitch walk to Trout. Interesting because there was a 4-pitch walk to Trumbo in the first inning, and now he comes around again, and this time it's with 2 men on and 2 outs. So 2 walks tonight for Keuchel. Is it a strategic thing, do you think, or is he just missing spots on these two hitters, Ash?
I think it comes and goes at times. I think that the two hitters could certainly play a big part in, but in walking Trout, you lead yourself right to Mark Trumbo, who you didn't want to face in the first inning. So I have a feeling in trying to be just pinpoint on edges, he's simply missing.
So now the big home run threat with 33 bombs. Who is 3 for 5 with a home run off Keuchel. Has 2 men on. And cracks a line drive into right center field. That'll shoot past Barnes, go all the way up on Towles Hill. That'll score 2 runs to make it 2-0 Angels. Trumbo still moving. He's headed for third base. Villar's relay throw is not in time. It's a 2-run triple for Trumbo. 95 runs batted in for Trumbo, and that's a 9-game hitting streak.
And though you never want to face Mike Trout, not in any situation, to walk him and then face Trumbo, who's swinging it very well, and allow the wheels of Trout to score from first base, a dangerous task.
It's a very good point about Trout and what a good base runner he is. So Trumbo, with his second triple of the season, gives the Angels the lead. Josh Hamilton looks at ball 1. Hamilton struck out with 2 men on in the first inning. Angels just swept their 3-game series in Toronto. This is the middle stop on a 9-game road trip. They'll wind up in Oakland at the end of this trip. They are 8-3 in September after going 14-14 in August. These swings have not looked to be swings of conviction for Hamilton against Keuchel tonight, Ash.
Well, he's had his struggles against left-hand pitching, no doubt about that, below the 200 mark this year. And then he gets a fastball that maybe he could handle, but after seeing slider after slider, he no doubt is looking for that pitch.
Well, he's been chiming right in there with Trout and Trumbo the last 10 games. He's hit .359. 2-2. During September, the Angels have averaged 5.3 runs per game. And their team batting average is .300. With an .833 OPS, so this club is really revved up offensively right now. This one gets away from Clark, not very far. No advance by the slow-footed Trumbo. And it's 3-2.
You see a nice job here, as we typically do, with Cody Clark behind the plate. Love that ball to come off a little softer, and one great way to do it is keep the glove down, let the body in the process roll over. It just softens things up.
Hamilton is down on strikes. And 2-run score on 2 hits with a man left at third. 2-0 Angels.
Quote of the day: you look at the quality of at-bats in those situations, and guys are not chasing. They're getting pitches they can do something with, and they're putting good swings on them. That's Bo Porter on the Astros hitting with runners in scoring position here in September. Now, I think it's also guys who have picked up some confidence, and like with Brandon Barnes right there, he's had some success when he's been right down to the wire late in ball games, takes some good swings and drives the baseball.
LJ Hose leads it off here in the 3rd inning. Jason Vargas, who won 5 games in the month of May to earn American League Pitcher of the Month honors, has a 2-0 lead and throws strike 1 to LJ Hose. 268, 1 homer, and 8 runs batted in for LJ. He has been on fire against the Angels. 8 hits and 13 at bats this year. There's a liner out into left center field. Hose will lead off by getting on. And the ball played well by Cowgill to hold him to a single. That's the second leadoff single by an Astro in the first 3 innings.
LJ Hose has done a lot since his acquisition from Baltimore to show that he can play on the major league level and swing a sound bat to go with it. He's also run the bases well. It'll be intriguing to see, heading toward next year, what guys have done enough to promote themselves into that top 25 next year.
0 for 24 to start his major league career. Cody Clark hits this one to right field. Going over for it, Calhoun. Calhoun with a catch. Make it 0 for 25 on a well-hit ball for Clark. He'll turn 32 tomorrow.
Some people might be thinking, well, why doesn't he take a pitch or two? I think what's really hurt Cody as much as anything is lack of aggressiveness in some earlier at-bats, especially when he's gotten ahead in the count. So I was actually glad to see him get the swing right here, a good one, and drive the baseball.
He just couldn't find a hole for that line drive.
His teammates love him. They're rooting like crazy.
Now Brandon Barnes, who grew up just a few blocks from Angel Stadium, used to ride his bike to the ballpark. He's out in front of that off-speed pitch. There's strike one to Brandon. 242, 7 homers, 40 runs batted in for Brandon.
Ride his bike to the ballpark like the rest of the Angels players. That lineup of bikes outside the ballpark is quite different from other yards.
Yeah. Well, we've had a very prestigious home run record tied today in Japan. Ball one to Barnes. You'll have to pronounce this name for me. Well, Vladimir Valentien, is that correct?
That is the way you would pronounce it in Spanish. There's no doubt about that. And he's been on the doorstep of that record now for a while.
He hit his 55th home run, and that matched the mark set by Sadaharu O, 1964. Looping fly ball right field. That's in for a hit. Calhoun picks it up on a bounce. Opposite field single for Barnes. Hose to second base with one out.
I understand they've been calling him Valentine.
Okay.
But Valentien would be correct Spanish to my understanding.
Barnes right off the end of the bat, going to right field. Hit number 3 for the Astros. And that brings up Jonathan Villar now with 2 men on and 1 out. Villar single to left. First pitch. His first major league homer on the road on the first pitch of the ball game. Well, Valentien hit his 55th home run, and that ties Japan's single season record, set in 1964 by Sadaharu O. Strike one, and equaled by Tuffy Rhodes in 2001 and Alex Cabrera in 2002. He has 21 regular season games left in which to break the record. Think he'll get it? They may not pitch to him. That's the real issue. And that's happened before in Japanese baseball to protect the record set by O. So you think he'll get 4 or 5 walks a game between now and the end of the year?
He'll lead the league in on-base percentage, OPS, but he will not get that home run record.
There's a drive to center. Trout backing on it. Both runners tagging. And both will move, but Barnes will put on the brakes and go back to first base on out number 2. That's the way to play it. He went back and tagged and then headed for second. Then determined where the throw was going to be and still had plenty of time to stop and get back.
You are exactly right. Put the pressure on and then put the brakes on when you need to. You don't put the pressure on, you're not likely to create mistakes by the defense.
Well, the lead runner, Hose, gets to third. Trout's throwing into second. And with 2 outs, Jose Altuve is looking for a hit. He bounced into a force play in the first inning. Ground ball, foul. He got on top of that pitch. Well, a good chance for the Astros players and traveling personnel to settle in at home for a week. 3 with the Angels, 3 with the Reds. So another contending club, Cincinnati, coming into Minute Maid Park on the back end of this homestand. And the Astros will go to Cleveland for 4 and Texas for 3 and come back against the Yankees. Altuve looks at it. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Yankees are getting some bad news about Brett Gardner. He could miss the rest of the season.
He's a real spark plug kind of a player for the Yankees. Solid defensive outfielder.
He has a grade 1 strain in his rib cage.
Sounds a little like Robbie Grossman.
Yeah. And as Joe Girardi says in the article, rib cages don't heal real quick. Robbie Grossman is finding that out as well.
They do tend to re-pull quite rapidly, though.
And that's a real issue for the Yankees. Gardner is a spark plug, as you mentioned. He's been a big part of what they've been doing. 2 balls and a strike. It's crunch time for the Yankees. Now they're missing an important player.
Yeah, and the Yankees also minus Derek Jeter now, likely for the rest of the season.
Steven Strasburg is not starting tonight for the Nationals. Scratch from his scheduled start against the Phillies. Tightness in his forearm. While throwing in the bullpen Thursday in New York.
Of course, a year ago he was removed from the rotation because of number of innings pitched while his teammates were headed toward postseason play. And boy, that was one I had a rough time with.
Altuve looks at ball 3, and it's 3-1. And Washington is in the mix, although not prominently, for a wild card spot in the National League, trailing by 8 right now. Rumors stirring about who their manager will be for next year. A deep drive to left field. Jose Altuve has given the Astros a 3-2 lead. Altuve with home run number 5. Now has driven in 52 runs, and the Astros lead at 3-2. He worked the count to 3-1 and lifted it into the Landry's Crawford boxes to that youngster.
We talked on the pregame show about Jose Altuve and others, and the way Jose among them has been swinging the bat so well. In the month of September, coming into play tonight, hitting .412, 6 doubles, driving in 70, adds to that very nicely. And when he's driving the baseball, he's got a chance for this home run swing.
Now it's 3-2 with that one swing of the bat from Altuve. He is now 4 for 8 in his career against Vargas. Second home run for him against the Angels this year. Trevor Crowe, the batter. Crowe looks at ball 1. That's the 15th home run surrendered by Vargas in 127 innings. Not a high total at all. And he's been throwing the ball pretty well, getting good results lately. Over second base, and that dunks in front of Trout in center field for a Crowe looping single. Hit number 4 of the inning.
Got to be a welcome sight for Trevor after seeing his bat kind of hit the skids the last couple of games on the road trip.
Well, he's talked about it. Now the pitching coach, Mike Butcher, comes out. This is a very important time for Trevor. 29 years old, trying to secure a spot for next year, and that's a common theme among many players throughout the majors right now. Guys who've been around for a long time, have never been full-time players, getting this opportunity to show what they can do on a daily basis this month.
He can be a valuable player too with that switch hitting ability. September 27th through the 29th, the New York Yankees come to Minute Maid Park for the Astros' final series of this season. Be a part of history as Mariano Rivera closes out his Hall of Fame career. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit Astros.com for your tickets.
Brandon Laird is the batter. Jason Vargas threw him out back in the second inning. There's ball 1. Derek Jeter back on the disabled list at age 39. So that rules him out for any postseason play in the event that the Yankees do make it. They don't want him to do further damage. Roller off the mound, out to Kendrick, and over to first. And the Astros strike for 3 runs on 4 hits. Altuve going deep for number 5 to make it 3-2 Houston through 3.
And going into tonight, the Astros are 9-7 against the Angels. You see what they've done against this team. Team ERA 3.02.
And now you see what they're doing with Chris Iannetta tying this ball game with a homer to left. That's number 10 of the year for Iannetta, and that makes it 3-3. Layla, sorry to interrupt what you were doing.
Well, that may raise the team ERA a bit from the previous total we had. But at the same time, they have had success against this team. And when I talked about Porter before the game about it, he said, let's face it, some of the best baseball we've played this year, Bill, has been against the Angels. The 4-game sweep comes to mind, that in the early part of June. But aside from that home run you see there, this team has played the Angels fairly well.
Yeah. On very even terms. Cole Calhoun comes up next. He struck out in the second inning. That's ball one from Dallas Keuchel. Fred Oberholzer gives the Astros a second straight lefty against the Angels tomorrow night. He'll be opposing Jared Weaver, and then it's Paul Clemens and Jerome Williams Sunday. Rolled out there, and the Astros were shifting with VR up the middle, so Calhoun is on with an opposite field single.
Yeah, one of the nice things for the Astros club this year has been how well they've played against the Angels and Seattle. On the overall season series with the two clubs, they've held their own very well.
Now it's Colin Cowgill. He struck out for his time up. Orioles and Blue Jays are tied 3-3. They're at the end of 7 now in Toronto. Adam Lind hit his 20th. Colby Rasmus number 19 for the Jays. Baltimore just tied it with 3 in the 7th. Tough loss for the Orioles last night against the Yankees. There is strike one to Cowgill. So they are really up against it right now as they pursue a wild card spot. Baltimore's 2.5 back, but New York and Cleveland are ahead of Baltimore right now in that race. In the dirt, and it's a 1-ball 1-strike count. Red Sox are beating the Yankees 4-2 in Boston. They're in the top of the 7th inning with John Lackey on the hill for the Red Sox. Brendan Ryan, who was just traded from Seattle to the Yankees, hit a home run, his 4th of the year. Boston got 4 in the first in that one. Slowly hit. Dominguez in, short hops, throws off balance, and the dig by Carter at first. Excellent play. So round number 1. So in this wild card mix, we still see several different possibilities with just over 2 weeks to go in the season. Texas and Tampa Bay in those spots right now, but New York and Cleveland are only 1 game back, and then Kansas City and Baltimore.
Pretty good stuff going on. And keep in mind that 2 teams from each league that get in as wild card bids have a 1-game playoff against each other. 1 team will survive. So that wild card, not quite the ticket into postseason play like it used to be.
No, it is not. Foul ball by Andrew Romine for strike 1. Yeah, it's a real crapshoot because theoretically, if available, the number 1 pitcher for a club has to pitch that 1-game playoff, and then you've earned him for the early games of the next series if you win it.
I think you have to go with your best at that point.
Yeah.
You've got to find your way into the postseason.
Looping single to left field will fall in, and here's the go-ahead for the runner, and the throw to the plate from Crow is cut off. Relayed to second base by Dominguez. They get the out there as the run scores to make it 4-3 Angels. That throw from Crow is drifting offline, and Dominguez cut it off and relayed on to Altuve to get Romine, who picks up the RBI single, his 4th run batted in. 7-5-4 on the play.
That's a nice job, number 1, by Trevor Crow, making sure this throw doesn't just get aired out to the plate where it can't be cut. And then Matt Dominguez comes in at that point, but as the ball is to his left, that's the tougher side from which to make a good throw, and yet Dominguez comes up with a very good throw. Close play at second, and it looks like maybe not the right call.
Tim Timmons on the call. Beef from Romine, but it did appear his hand might have been in there before the tag. Now Ibar smacks a line drive hit to center field. 4th hit of the inning, and the Angels, after having a disappointing first, leaving 2 men on, and then When Keuchel struck out the side in the second, he was really rolling. Now they've turned this game around with their third and fourth innings. And they've collected 6 hits so far. Kendrick will be the batter. He has 2 of those.
Well, the break in the inning with what appeared to be the wrong call at second base means probably 1 less run already on the board for the Angels and 1 more out on the board from the Houston perspective.
The Athletics lead the Rangers 4-2. They're in the bottom of the 3rd inning in Texas. No balls, 2 strikes. An awfully big series there for the Rangers, who trail the Athletics by 3.5 in the AL West. And that's their last shot at them. Texas has lost 3 in a row. Dan Straley pitching tonight for Oakland. And Josh Donaldson hit his 22nd homer. Yoenis Cespedes his 23rd. 1-2. Rays lead the Twins at Minnesota 2-0 there in the top of the 4th inning. Rays are trying to regroup. They have fallen back so far in the month of September. Backhanded Dominguez. Throwing to Carter. And the Angels come up with 2 in the top of the 4th on 4 hits to lead it 4-3.
Friday, September 27th is the final big and bright Friday night of the season. The Astros take on the New York Yankees. Not bad there. That's at 7:10. Don't forget to stick around after the game for the best fireworks show in town, presented by Marathon Oil, featuring the top songs of 2013. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit Astros.com for your tickets.
What would your top song be of 2013, Ash?
Well, that's tough. With each year going on, it becomes tougher and tougher for me, Brownie. Boy, you put me on the spot. I am going to look so uncool here. What about you? Give me some help.
Well, I was going to ask Layla. Matt Dominguez leads it off. He struck out in the 2nd inning. There's strike 1. Layla's a musical person, so she would have some nominations for that top song of 2013. Domingo takes a look at it. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. How about Night Train, Layla? You like that song?
Night Train.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a good song. I don't know if it's the top song of 2013.
No, it's not the top song. Definitely not.
I think Robin Thicke probably
the summer
nominated
song,
for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Blurred Lines, I want to say.
All right.
Let's hope there's no video accompanying.
No, there won't be. There will be fireworks accompanying the music here. Oh, that plunked him, and Domingo is hit by the pitch on 1-2 to reach, leading off the home 4th inning. Did it get him around the left elbow, Ash?
Looked like it. Matty D's pretty tough, though, and you never get any read from him. Maybe above the elbow in that triceps area. Yeah, maybe down by the elbow.
He's old school.
Depends on which angle we get there, but looked like that took a pretty good bite out of him.
Yeah. Chris Carter, he struck out in the 2nd inning. It's only the 3rd hit batsman for Vargas this year. Carter fouls it. There's strike 1 to Chris. Chris, a .309 career hitter against the Angels. On this date in 1999, Mike Hampton won his 20th game with a 13-2 victory over the Phillies in the Astrodome. It was the Astros' 11th straight win. Chris Davis hit his 50th homer for Baltimore tonight. 1-1. The 3rd player in Major League history with 50 homers and 40 doubles. Babe Ruth and Albert Bell. The first 2. But don't call him Joey.
Joey Bell did that?
Yep. Two and one. Now, you and Layla could only answer this question. What do you think the Astros will do with Mariano Rivera coming in here for the final 3 games of the season? to honor him. You know, all these clubs are giving him gifts. And it's really kind of weird because there have been very few games in history between the Yankees and Astros.
Yeah, I think he's already gotten the treatment from the Texas Rangers and kind of gotten the whole Texas theme thing.
Yeah.
So that's not easy to turn that direction.
No. Did you see what the Orioles gave him?
No, I didn't.
There was a great little trophy of a bat that was broken with the baseball attached to it.
Autographed by 10,000 left-hand hitters.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, they've referred to him through the years as probably a number of things, but chainsaw, because the way he just comes in like a chainsaw and saws it off.
Yeah. Well, Layla, what do you think would be an appropriate gift for the closer who has everything?
Well, first of all, I think there are a lot of people who are Texas Rangers fans who remember Mariano Rivera and the Rangers playoff series of the 1990s. They may be a bit bitter, but you can never go wrong with a good cowboy hat, guys, can you?
No, not really. I think chaps would be a nice touch.
A bit hard to try on, though, don't you think?
You just don't see those anymore, Layla.
Except on the University of Texas Palm Squad.
You know, the rumor was that EY wore them in for the pregame show today, though.
You know, I had heard that rumor. I couldn't get it confirmed.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, you can't see below that desk. He struck him out for round number 1.
How about, I don't know, maybe this goes back too far, a nice Colt 45.
There you go.
I don't know, is that
pearl handled revolver?
Something really beautiful like that.
A revolver, yeah. That could work. Be a nice trophy. AT HOU started the 3-run rally in the 3rd with a line drive single over shortstop. Well, that's a real dilemma, though.
How about some moon dust? You don't seem real enthusiastic.
Would you explain, please?
Well, the Astros, the whole Houston and Nassau and all that sort of thing.
I was just trying to connect Mariano Rivera with the moon, and I couldn't make that connection.
Well, he's coming to Houston, you see. And, that, you know.
Well, that's a thought.
It is a thought.
You could do a NASA theme. It's 2 balls, no strikes. Where to go with this? Yeah, it's a difficult decision for whoever makes those decisions. Who do you think does make that decision?
I don't know. If I was tasked to make that, I'd probably make a call to the Yankees right away and say, what would Mariano like? What doesn't he have at this point?
That's what you have to do.
Yeah.
Call and see what he's been presented with already.
Guys, I got this. I've got an idea.
Okay.
This is the definitive answer, huh?
Okay, so in Houston, we have awesome restaurants, and a lot of them.
Yeah.
So what if we get Mariano Rivera as an organization and a huge 3-day all-you-can-eat dinner, and then he'll be nice and rested and have a full stomach in case he needs to pitch against the Astros.
Yeah, it's got to be used before September 28th.
That's a quick expiration date.
Did you, Layla, did you ever hear the one about Yogi Berra? Yogi has owned a racquetball club for many years, or used to own a racquetball club in New Jersey. And he met President Ford. And he gave President Ford this gift card to his racquetball club. And on the back of it said, "Good on Thursdays only."
That's beautiful.
It's 3-2.
That wasn't the restaurant that nobody ever goes to. That was the racquetball club. Yeah. Why Thursdays?
I don't know. I think most people have other things to do on Thursdays.
Just makes you think.
Yeah.
Yogi could make you think. I'll guarantee you that.
He could do that. What was your favorite Yogiism, Ash?
Well, I was actually there for one, and it hasn't become one of the big ones out there that everybody knows about. A lot of people have heard about it. I was actually draping my arm over Yogi's shoulder around his neck when we came in from the 1986 clinching against the Giants. Mike Scott's no-hitter came into the clubhouse, and the 3 Coneheads were in there.
Runner going, and it's a strikeout. Now the throw, and it's a double play. As Dominguez caught from 2-4. And we'll get back to that story in the 5th inning. It's 4-3 Angels. 4th inning ended with that double play on the strikeout by Hose, and then Dominguez was caught stealing from 2-4. Dallas Keuchel on the mound, and Trout will lead it off, to be followed by Trumbo and Hamilton in the 5th inning. We'll get to trivia in just a moment. 4-7-0 for the Angels, 3-5-0 for the Astros. The Angels have stranded 4, the Astros have left 1, and we have to get back to that story as well. So we've got a busy agenda here in the 5th inning, Ash.
No doubt about it. What story first? Is that where we're going?
Let's go with trivia.
Trivia, okay. Astros trivia brought to you by your local Toyota dealer. And we'll complete that in a moment. The moment has come. Mike Trout was drafted by the LA Angels of Anaheim in 2009 with a compensatory pick from the Yankees. What LA free agent did New York sign to give the Angels that pick?
Question. Don't know that one. 1 and 2.
Ooh, you think the Yankees have considered that one?
Oh, probably a few times, yeah. Trout hit a fly ball to right, and he walked and scored. But back to your story about those Conehead guys after the '86 clincher.
Okay, so we had Mike Scott with the no-hitter and all that sort of thing. Going back in the clubhouse celebrating the Coneheads. Charlie Kerfeld, Larry Anderson, Aurelio Lopez were lined up in the clubhouse and kind of presenting something. And I walked in with Yogi, and Yogi says, "You three make quite a pair." And so that's my favorite Yogiism of all time. I just thought it really stood up to the special moment. You three make quite a pair.
That was a good one. And then there was, when you come to a fork in the road, take it.
Mm-hmm. I remember something about, of course, there was the restaurant one, the famous one about nobody ever goes there anymore. It's always too crowded.
Mm-hmm.
Something about one of his outfits he was wearing.
Oh, yeah. He met the Queen of England.
This story grows. It has many directions.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about Yogi stories. That's strikeout number 6. They may not be true, but they're fun to tell. Supposedly he was introduced to the Queen of England in July, a very, very warm day. And the Queen of England said, "Mr. Barrow, you look very cool today." And he said, "Well, thank you, madam. You don't look so hot yourself."
That's exactly right. But, you know, I had heard that story told without the Queen involved.
It's more fun with the Queen,
It
though.
is better, actually. I like the Queen version. That's nice. Yeah, he had something that he had worn that his wife had picked out for him, Carmen. And he referred to the color as navy brown.
Navy brown. Mark Trumbo taking ball 1. Now fouls it. And it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Trumbo ripped the 2-run triple to right center field back in the 3rd inning after walking. He's all geared up. Big sports weekend around here. Popped over and into the seats. And it's 1-2.
You getting into the whole A&M Alabama thing?
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch that before our game tomorrow night. Well, that will be a lively atmosphere at College Station.
I saw you doing the money thing with your fingers here with everybody you came upon this afternoon.
Did I?
Like Manziel?
Must have been subliminal. And then tomorrow night, after the game, it's Faith and Family Night. Steve Sparks will MC. And Brandon Barnes and his wife are going to give their testimony. Josh Fields after the game, and then a concert, David Crowder. So a lot going on here tomorrow night, and good pitching matchup, Oberholzer and Weaver. Trumbo has a 2-2 pitch coming from Keuchel. Initially, we were told that Oberholzer would pitch tonight, and then that was switched out. As the Astros are now moving Eric Bedard back into the rotation to stay with this 6-man rotation. That's a strikeout. That's number 7. It's a weird game for Keuchel. Layla?
You brought up the A&M Alabama game. I was trying to take a poll in the clubhouse. Seems like all the players, or at least the overwhelming majority, thinking Alabama is going to win that game. I asked Bo Porter in the dugout, and he said A&M, no doubt. And then, of course, Jesus Ortiz from the Houston Chronicle had to ask him about Iowa State. He said that was a no-brainer.
Uh-oh.
We even have some Alabama fans in the crowd already. They have been spotted.
Oh.
So the enemy is here.
Yeah. Well, they have to be entertained. Every night they're here, right? 1 ball, 1 strike to Hamilton. Hamilton has struck out twice. Yeah.
It's a long drive to Atlanta if you want to try to watch a pro franchise. Not a bad thing to do when you're in town.
Well, you know, these folks are going to be thoroughly entertained this weekend. Major League Baseball tonight. College football tomorrow afternoon. Who knows what they'll be doing on Sunday. Probably going back home to go to work on Monday.
Who knows? It could be a holiday.
It could be a holiday. It's a sports holiday. It's a festival. Great time of year. In for a strike, and it's 3-2 to Hamilton. We've got these pennant races, and certainly an absence of races in some of these divisions. In the NL East, Atlanta has an 11-game lead. And that is strikeout number 3 of the night for Mr. Hamilton. And for the second time, Keuchel has struck out the side in this game. The Angels lead it 4-3.
A question we brought you went something like this. Mike Trout was drafted by LA in 2009 with a compensatory pick from the Yankees. What LA free agent did New York sign to give the Angels that pick? And actually they did pretty well for themselves, did the Yankees. Mark Teixeira. Of course, Mark Teixeira this year has had a miserable injury-plagued season.
Cody Clark's the batter. And he looks at ball 1, 0 for 25 to start his major league career. Hit the ball hard on a line, caught by the right fielder Calhoun in the 3rd inning. Vargas kind of turns his back on the hitter and then brings in that roundhouse curveball. And it's a 1-1 count to Clark.
There's a little Louis T on the guys.
Jason Smith was 0 for 25 to start his Astros career. Pitcher Bo McLaughlin was 0 for 32 to start his major league career with Houston. Liner out into center field. That's a hit. 0 for 25, and Clark gets his first major league hit.
There's the smile. Good for you, Cody. And we definitely want that baseball. That's great stuff. Great stuff.
He'll turn 32 tomorrow.
Ball's not crushed, but I think he knows it's a hit, or as close as he's come to one to this point. And oh, that's beautiful.
Special moment for Cody Clark. All the years of hard work, 11 minor league seasons to get here. Brandon Barnes, the batter, fouling it back for strike 1. He singled into right field in the 3rd and rode home on the 3-run homer by Altuve. Altuve jumped in the air when he saw that Clark hit. It shows you the bond these guys have and how they root for each other. And a few games ago, the guys on the bench they've been rooting so hard they decided maybe they should turn their backs to the field for one of Cody's at bats, and that didn't work either.
Nobody was allowed to watch.
Now 1-1 to Barnes. The Tri-City Valley Cats have won the New York Penn title. They beat State College 4-3, win their 2nd title in 4 years in the New York Penn League.
Do we have any idea what kind of a base runner Cody Clark is?
Nope.
I guess now is when we learn a little bit.
2-1. Well, he did reach on a walk once. Ed Romero, former Astros major league coach, managed that club, Tri-City, this year. Congratulations to Ed and the Valley Cats. And Quad Cities won the Midwest League title, or can win with the win over South Bend tonight.
It's really extending those minor league seasons quite a bit when the guys are still playing at this stage of things.
Barnes takes. The count runs 2-3 to Brandon.
A lot of the guys, maybe most of the guys in the minor leagues, commit to getting back to school or some kind of off-season job. Not easy.
That's out into center field. A hit in front of Trout. Clark will go to second and pull up there on the single by Barnes, who's 2 for 2. Tweet of the night coming your way now for the Tri-Cities club. Tri-City Valley Cats champions again, and there's the Conrad Gregor tweet. Champions, Vamos Gatos. Thank you for all the support this year. Tweet of the game. Ed Romero, number 48 on the far right.
Well, talk about enthusiasm, Brownie.
Yeah. Why not? Go for it, guys. Well-deserved championship, and now Quad Cities can put away its championship, having taken a 2-0 lead in the series with a 5-0 shutout win at South Bend last night. Now Jonathan VR. Runners at first and second and nobody out. The first baseman Trumbo is in tight, as is the third sacker Romine. VR puts a butt in the air, and that is dropped. That's an out. And that doesn't work. He dropped it. Now, if he had let it bounce, that would have been a double play chance. But he dropped it.
It would have caught Jonathan VR standing flat-footed near home plate. That could have been very embarrassing. Standing right there, you can't do it. You just can't do it. Another lesson to be learned.
You just can't presume that that's going to be an out. And if the catcher alertly lets it drop, it's an easy double play. Maybe a triple play, who knows? Jose Altuve, the batter, he pumped a 3-run homer to the seats. He's 1 for 2 in this game. Smacks a line drive into left field. Clark is being held at third by Dave Tremblay. And the bases are loaded. Altuve's 2 for 3. Another multi-hit game, and that's been just about the story of every game for him in September.
Turning again and driving it to left field. You wonder, might he employ this, what would be power game, driving the ball to left field a little bit more in the future? We know he can hit it to right field, center field certainly. But maybe less times turning and driving it to left field. His numbers in September, spectacular. Before the 2 hits tonight, hitting .412 here in September, 6 doubles, 7 RBIs, 5 stolen bases for good measure. So Altuve really enjoying things here in this month.
More on that championship for Tri-City Valley Cats. Kyle Westwood 2-2 with a 0.81 ERA in the playoffs, 2-0 with a 0.69. 13th round pick of this year. Conrad Gregor, the big first baseman from Vanderbilt, hit .316. He was the 4th round pick in 2013.
Just keep hearing names. And tells you there's a load of guys, not just a few, a select handful that have played well this year. There's a load of guys that have played very well.
Now bases loaded, 1 out. And it's Trevor Kroll batting with the Astros down by 1. He's 1 for 2 in this game. 8 hits for the Astros, 7 for the Angels. So both these teams firing away. Corey Rasmus warming up in the bullpen. And a change of speeds works for strike 1 for Vargas.
The pitch was often known as a hanger. Up there for Trevor to hammer, but sometimes those hangers can be really tough on hitters.
Foul back, and it's no balls, 2 strikes with Brandon Laird on deck. That home run number 50 tonight, we referred to earlier by Chris Davis of the Orioles, ties their club record set by Brady Anderson. First 50 home run man in the majors since Jose Bautista hit 54 for Toronto in 2010. Davis, the 27th player to join the 50 home run club. Ground ball, diving Ibar, can't stop it, on through. Tying run scores, go ahead run in. It's a 2-run single for Crow. And the Astros lead it 5-4. Trevor Crow down in the count 0-2. Hit one sharply. Ibar took a dive at it, but Crow drives in a couple to give him 12.
We can certainly say of Trevor Crow that he appears to like batting in this 3rd spot in the order. He's done a whale of a job.
That's 9 hits for the Astros. They lead at 5-4. Crow bangs his hands together. He's 2 for 3 tonight. And Laird is the batter. He's 0 for 2. Crow is 5 for 6 in stolen bases. The Astros have been a running team this year against the Angels with 14 steals in 20 attempts. Crow's going, and this one's fouled back.
You know, to one degree or another, you're always auditioning in this game. And the audition here recently for Trevor Crow is one that has been passed with flying colors. And I guess the question is what does it mean for Trevor come next season?
What do you think?
Well, he's so valuable swinging from both sides. Good outfielder, can play in center as well as the corner outfield positions. I have a feeling we're going to see Trevor get a very good look in the spring.
That one hit him. It glanced off the shoulder apparently of Laird, loading the bases. Second hit batter of the night for Vargas. Now Mike Scioscia's going to make a move with the bases loaded. Vargas, who had hit only 2 batters all season, now has done it twice in 2 innings. And it's going to be a bases loaded dilemma here for Scioscia in this 5-4 game. Just grazed him on the left shoulder. And with the Astros taking the lead here and the pitching change in effect, we will be right back. Mr. Clark has scored, and now it's a 5-4 Astros lead. Cody Clark got it started with his first major league hit after an 0-for-25 start. Now right-hander Corey Rasmus comes in, brother of Colby Rasmus, the outfielder with the Toronto Blue Jays. Corey, 25 years old, was drafted by Atlanta. He came to the Angels in a trade for Scott Downs July 29th of this year from Columbus, Georgia. First time up in the big leagues here in 2013, actually.
I've watched Colby Rasmus play a good deal. Didn't realize he had a brother in Corey. But Colby, a very talented athlete. Corey Rasmus, like his brother from Georgia. And now in his 10th game with the Angels.
He comes into a real spot. Bases loaded, 1 out, facing Matt Dominguez, who was struck out, and he's been hit by a pitch. And Domingo, who has 70 runs batted in this year, has 13 of those against this Angel club. Chris Carter's on deck. That's a high drive, deep left center field. That's going to be off the wall, and that's a grand slam. A long grand slam for Dominguez. And this explosive 5th inning gets even bigger. 20 home runs, 74 runs batted in for Matt Dominguez, and the sound of that bat striking the ball was absolutely intense.
Oh, that's good stuff. Rasmus comes in, delivers one pitch, and see ya. Dominguez destroyed this baseball. His 20th on the year, and they have been coming quite steadily, and he has no fear. He loves the big moment.
Now Chris Carter bats. Here's strike one to him. Third grand slam by an Astro this year, and Domingo makes it 9-4.
That's Dominguez's second grand slam in 14 opportunities this year.
No balls, 2 strikes.
Telling his teammates it was a slider.
A sweet feeling for Matt Dominguez. 1-2. And he now has a total of 17 runs batted in against the Angels. It's Matt's first home run since August 26th at Chicago against the White Sox. 53 at bats. Dominguez hit his first slam against Milwaukee here June 18th. Jason Castro hit one at Baltimore. Now this is the third Astros slam of the year. It's a 2-2 count on Carter. Well, for Jason Vargas, 4 1/3 innings, 9 hits, 8 runs tonight. No walks, 2 hit batters. Pitch upstairs, and it's 3-2. And he struck out 4.
Talking about auditions, the year has been an audition for so many guys on the ball club. Matt Dominguez has turned that audition into a resounding, I'm the everyday third baseman for me.
You bet. Trumbo over into foul territory for this Carter pop. Well, this was some swing.
Yeah, he doesn't get cheated. He'll get the great swings when he's got opportunities. And I mean, he just busts this baseball. That's legit. Any ballpark you want to name, this ball's getting out.
That was a missile. Altuve coming home. And Kroll and Laird. And the grand slam by Dominguez. 6-run inning. AT HOU takes a look at it. It's strike 1. Two grand slams in 1 year. One ball, 1 strike. That's a good year.
That's really nice when you hit that second slam on your 20th bomb of the year. That 20th means something to a player.
It does. That's a big number. 2 balls and a strike. As of a few days ago, Matt was 8th among all Major League third basemen in runs batted in. And as of a few days ago, he had exactly as many as Ryan Zimmerman of the Nationals. Very good player. 3 balls and a strike.
I think it's going to turn into an intriguing race as to player of the year for Houston this year. Certainly Jason Castro has a great shot, but Matt Dominguez has to be involved in that conversation.
Both those guys have really had superb seasons. It's a walk by Rasmus. And now Clark batting for the 2nd time in the inning. How about this? He was 0 for 25, and now he could wind up with 2 hits in 1 inning.
Oh, what a great story. What a great way to come up with the first couple of knocks.
10 hits for the Astros now. 5 of them in this inning. Clark started it with a single to left center. Barnes singled. And after a fouled bunt, or a popped up bunt, it was singles by Altuve and Crow. Crow drove in 2. And that's a strike. Orioles lead. They've now won 5-3 at Toronto. Tommy Hunter winning that one in relief. He's 5-4, beating Steve Delabar. Jim Johnson got his 44th save. He had fielding problems last night in the game against the Yankees. 1-1. Nationals lead the Phillies 6-1. They're in the bottom of the 8th inning. Ryan Zimmerman hit his 24th homer. Wilson Ramos, number 14 for Washington. Tigers are in front of the Royals 6-3. They're in the top of the 9th in Detroit. Prince Fielder hit his 24th. In the dirt, and it's 2-1. Let's go back to that bunt play on VR. We might be doing that a few more times tonight, Ash.
Could have changed this inning around a little bit.
Could have been a triple play. Yeah. The inning could have been over.
Conceivably, and I'd have to see it to see if anybody was actually down at third base to start a triple play, but
wow, what a difference there could be. The fly ball hangs out there for the center fielder, Mike Trout. For out number 3. And the Astros with a 6-run inning get 4 on one swing from Matt Dominguez.
9-4. You and Todd Gimby, our progressive fan of the game to Houston. Todd, this is the conclusion of a 34-year tour of America's ballparks. You decided to end it in Houston. This started in 1979. What does this trip mean to you?
Oh, I'm very excited to be here in Houston. I've heard so much about this city, and when I was planning my summer visits of different ballparks, I knew I wanted to come to Houston and be here for the last stadium to see. So I've been here about a day and a half, and the whole trip has exceeded my expectations. The people here are just wonderful. Just walking on the streets, just people nodding at me and smiling and saying hello. I don't even know these people. And I just feel right at home here, and I'm so glad I chose Minute Maid Park to be my final destination of seeing ballparks.
And the reason it is your final destination as we welcome you here is because this started with you and your father, who has now passed away.
Correct.
To conclude this, what does his memory mean to you in this moment, and why did you want to do this for him when it started as something between a father and his son and you?
Well, my father and I, my father didn't have hobbies, and it kind of brought us closer together by starting to go to baseball games. He really didn't want to go to a game at first, but my mom kind of conned him into it. And I remember her saying, just go with Todd, see the baseball game, and you know what, he'll probably lose interest and never want to go again. But I absolutely loved it, and it brought my father and I closer. It gave my father a hobby, and we started traveling to see the games. We would go to different stadiums each year, and our goal was to try to see all of them at some point. And what makes the story kind of unique is the fact that I got to see stadiums that don't exist anymore. Of course, I saw the 30 current stadiums, 41 in all, including the Baseball Hall of Fame. So 11 stadiums are no longer used for baseball, and several have already been torn down.
We showed some of the pictures of you visiting these different stadiums and parks. What was maybe your most interesting trip or your most memorable?
My most memorable would have to be the final game played at iconic Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. I was there for that game, and it was very emotional to see that stadium close and eventually be torn down.
You discussed baseball and the meaning that the game has between a father and his son, and how you honor his memory. To have that conclude here, and for us to be a part of it, really, how are you remembering him today?
Well, I've been thinking about him this whole trip, and I thought about him today. And when I was leaving the hotel to walk over, I said to my dad, I said, I know you're out there somewhere. I know you're with me here tonight at the game, and I'm just very, very glad to be able to do all this and to honor his memory.
Well, we honor your ballpark visits, his memory as well. Welcome to Houston. Thank you for coming. Todd Gimby, our progressive fan of the game. A great story. Let's send it back upstairs.
Thank you, Layla. And happy to have him here tonight. It's a 9-4 ball game. Leadoff double by Iannetta off Keuchel, and then he struck out Calhoun. That strikeout number 9 for Dallas. With Iannetta at second, he faces Colin Cowgill. Cowgill is 0 for 2. 9 strikeout game for Dallas to tie his career high. He struck out 9 against the Cubs June 21st of this year. And there's strike 1 to Cowgill.
Little perseverance tonight for Dallas Keuchel getting through that 4th inning. It's kind of a tough one, but in doing so he gave himself and the ball club a chance, with the Astros putting 6 big ones on the board.
Play to the left of Altuve. On over to Carter. 2 outs. Iannetta to third.
2014 Astros season tickets are on sale right now. Lock in your seats now by calling 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit Astros.com.
Andrew Romine drove in a run in the 4th inning. That made it 4-3 Angels, and then the Astros exploded for 6 in the 5th. Keuchel now has thrown 96 pitches. 60 of them have been strikes. And that's ball 1. So conceivably his final inning of the night. It's a 2-ball, no strike count. Astros honored the 4 firefighters who had those serious injuries in that motel fire here in May before the game tonight. A 2-ball, 1 strike count. William Dowling, Foster Santos, Robert Yarborough, and Anthony Livesey. And Governor Rick Perry made those presentations with the Star of Texas Awards to them yesterday. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Great to have them here tonight. Red Sox lead the Yankees 8-4. They're in the top of the 8th inning. Saltalamacchia hit his 13th. It's 3-2 now. The fervor of that Boston Yankee rivalry is something here at the end of the year. The Yankees now with Boston romping to the AL East lead of 8.5 games, just trying to win a few games. Little tap, and Altuve bare hands throws to first, and the throw gets away from Carter as the run scores. Iannetta scoring to make it 9-5, and Romine with that slow bouncer is able to get to first base and will pick up an RBI single on that one, scoring Iannetta.
Yeah, this chopper setting up that barehanded effort. Not an easy play for Carter to try to dig out. Did they have him? Very close play if he picks it.
That's 9 hits now for the Angels. Gives Romine a pair of RBI singles in this game. Doug Brocail out to talk it over. Romine at first and 2 outs in the inning. Jorge De Leon is warming up for Houston. In Texas, it's 8-2 Oakland. They're in the bottom of the 5th inning.
What has happened with the Rangers?
Well, that's a really good question. They are doing a fast fade right now. The Astros will be there at the end of their next road trip. Eric Ibar, the batter. Looking at ball 1. He's 1 for 3 in this game. Derek Holland started tonight. He gave up 6 runs in 3 innings. Van Straley pitching for Oakland. He's given up 1 hit but 2 runs in 4. Out to left field. Trevor Crowe back in toward the bullpen wall. Now he backs off that wall, playing the carom, but it gets over him to Barnes. A runner scores as the throw comes into the infield to make it 9-6. RBI double by Ibar. That's his 30th double, RBI number 53, and it's a 3-run Houston lead. And the Angels come bouncing back.
Takes the pitch out over the plate. Looks like Cody Clark was set up away. The pitch was away, but up a bit. And this ball comes close to getting out of here.
That'll bring about a pitching change as Keuchel gives up the baseball. De Leon heads for the mound. Each club with 10 hits right now. It's 9-6 Houston. De Leon will face Kendrick right after this.
Every weekday live at 5 o'clock. Kevin Eschenfelder brings the heat and big name guests along with hot sports opinions, and pretty cool event happened today over at the CSN studios. We held our first Friday tailgate. Craig Biggio and Reed Ryan taking part along with the Rockets' Patrick Beverly and some U of H players. It was a live event. We'll let you know about the next one, but a lot of fun and nice to see Craig Biggio as usual, you guys.
Absolutely. Thanks, Layla. There is the first pitch from De Leon to Howie Kendrick. It's ball one. Kendrick is 2 for 3 in this game. De Leon, the young right-hander, in 6 games has an ERA of 5.79 with those numbers.
Right-hand hitters having way too much of a good time against him to this point. 500 the average.
1 ball, 1 strike. If he can get this right-handed hitter, Kendrick, with the 3-run lead, that'll be a relief for the guys on the Houston bench, certainly. The Angels coming back out in attack mode after the Astros got 6 in the 5th. They've scored twice so far here. It's their 3rd 2-run inning. That one ran in, and Kendrick was able to fight it off for a 1-ball, 2-strike count. De Leon, 26 years old, from the Dominican. There's an Altuve fan. Came up with it. This Houston bullpen is getting quite a look here in the final couple of weeks of the season. Try to figure out what makes sense for 2014. De Leon missing with a breaking ball. He goes to a 2-2 count. De Leon had some scoreless outings, 3 of them on the last road trip. Twice he pitched in Oakland and once in Seattle. He's trying to put in a bid for the 2014 ball club after having 12 saves in 41 games in the minors this year. He gets a swing and a miss, and Kendrick is extinguished here in the 6th inning. It's a 2-run 6th on 3 hits with a man left. It's 9-6 Astros. Toyota dealer. Toyota, let's go places. Let's go to a high-scoring ball game at Minute Maid Park from River Oaks. It's 9-6. The Astros lead the Angels. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning. Each club has banged out 10 hits, has made no errors. Lots of hitting tonight. Corey Rasmussen, 2/3 of an inning, allowed 1 hit, 1 run, with 1 walk, no strikeouts. Pitcher number 3 is warming up. He is former Astro right-hander Juan Gutierrez. Gutierrez, who's from Venezuela, 30 years old. He was traded by the Astros to Arizona after the 07 season and the Jose Valverde deal, then made his way to Kansas City. And now in 44 games this year, he's 0-4. His ERA is 4.28.
Pretty balanced in terms of what righties and lefties have done against him. The overall 269 with 5 dingers allowed. And that's a reasonable figure with those 48 and a third innings.
He worked back-to-back games Sunday and Monday. That's the first time he's done that since about a month ago. Orbit is doing his thing. And meanwhile, back to work for Brandon Barnes. He's 2 for 2. 2 runs scored out of the 9th spot in the lineup. Big breaking ball, and he took something off it at 80 miles per hour. Strike 1 to Barnes. Since Gutierrez joined the Angels, he has not given up any runs in 13 of his 19 games. The Astros signed him in 2000 as a free agent. Foul ball makes it 0-2 to Brandon. Gutierrez was a waiver claim by the Angels from Kansas City. He's gone 130 games without a win, 2nd longest active streak in the majors. Tied for 5th longest all time. Barnes stays away from that breaker, and it's a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Could be a tempting pitch, especially with 2 strikes in the count. Gutierrez's last win was with the Diamondbacks September 9th, 2009 against the Dodgers. It's only 4 years ago. Check swing call, goes the Astros way, 2-2. But if you're a relief pitcher, getting a win might not be the most positive thing. Depends on how you're being used, Ash.
Guys in the long and middle roles, you can pick up wins and they'll work out. The guys in the back end of the bullpen, they don't want wins. They want saves and holds.
A win can be a negative. That's a foul tip strikeout. Did you see what they did with Mariano Rivera in that Yankee game last night?
Well, is last night when he picked up save number 43 on the season?
Well, no, last night he got the final 3 outs, but they didn't give him a save. They gave him the win because David Robertson, who pitched before him, had given up 3 runs in 1 inning, blowing a lead, and they didn't want to give him the win after he gave up 3 runs in 1 inning. So they gave it to Rivera.
Scores discretion scenario.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Jonathan VR tries to bunt his way on, and there's strike 1. He's 1 for 3. I don't remember.
So is that to say you can't pick up the save as well with the scorer's discretion?
You can't get both, a win and a save. So they decided, even though here's a guy who's the all-time save leader, why not give him another save and find another pitcher who could get the win? There was somebody who was effective in that game, and they didn't do that. They gave Rivera the win.
Did Mariano jump up and down and scream, "You can't give me a win, you can't"?
I think he went out and broke a bat.
He should have. That's odd.
That was an oddity. Swing there makes it 1-2, but the official scorer was trying to do his work, charged with the task of rewarding somebody who had pitched well, and Robertson did not pitch well.
Yeah, we've seen that plenty of times where guys, just because of the technicalities of things, got the W.
We have, you're right. What if a guy was going for the save record and that happened? A lot of controversy over that.
Probably have some sort of a scoring dispute that would go to the league. I wonder in this case if it might not happen.
Well, that's a good question. There is a review committee that oversees those scorers' decisions. You think anybody will ever come along someday and threaten Mariano's record to the point that it's never be reviewed? No.
I don't. Although a closer is a closer yesterday and today and in the future, a guy that pitches 1 inning. It's the starter records that stand, like Nolan Ryan and the no-hitters, the strikeouts. Those are never going to be approached, in my opinion.
Right.
Unless somebody comes in and says and proves that the way to save arms is to pitch more innings, more pitches. See that coming?
No. No. But there may be a tax rebate someday too. So
which one of those is more likely?
3-2 to VR. Whips that one in the air and out of play. Mets beat the Marlins 4-3 in New York. Jonathan Nee squaring his record at 7-7. Well, Troy Hawkins, the ageless one, got his 9th save. Giancarlo Stanton hit a couple of bombs, giving him 22. These guys are well coordinated in the orange and navy blue. Wonder if they talked about how they would dress for this game. Bouncer up the middle. Ibar cutting across, can't get it. Under his glove. And a hit for VR. He's 2 for 4.
Well, of course, I was ready to follow your question with what guys don't.
You mean you don't call your buddy, hey, what are you going to wear tonight?
That's guy talk, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, just sneaks under the glove.
That's hit number 11 for the Astros.
Jose Altuve launching the big fly. know, he's got enough pop. You see it every now and then where he'll turn and launch the baseball to left field. Just doesn't take that swing very often.
He's 2 for 3 and has scored 2 runs. No, he doesn't. We saw those highlights when we first came on the air of him slapping the ball to right field, and he's certainly known for that. But he cut loose that swing on the 3-run homer. Trumbo came off the base to receive that low throw from the pitcher, Gutierrez. 74%. That's a good rate for Jonathan VR. Altuve's home run earlier was his first in 178 at bats since July 24th against Oakland.
Ronnie, back to that Mariano Rivera. No save, picking up the win, which he did. 6-2 now on the season. It was so confusing, apparently, that ESPN awarded him a blown save in the process.
Ground ball to third. Here's Romine throwing to second, and then Kendrick hanging in on a double play throw. So 5-4-3, and that takes care of the 6th inning with the Astros up 9-6.
Astros lead the Angels 9-6. Whether you're from Texas, Texas A&M, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, or New Mexico, CSN Houston covers the entire 5-state region, and we want your story ideas. Email us your ideas at regionalroundup@ComcastSportsNet.com. Bill and Alan.
Layla, what would be your prediction for the Alabama A&M game tomorrow?
I live in Houston. I don't know that I can say.
You're a very intelligent woman. Very intelligent woman.
I value Luke Jokel's presence on that team. I thought he was a huge, huge part of that offensive line. And so I want to see what happens without him, because I think he bought Johnny Manziel a lot of time.
Okay.
And A&M gets a few guys back on defense. So I don't know.
Well, that's the beauty of it, isn't it? There's strike one to Mike Trout from De Leon. Trout is 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. De Leon struck out Kendrick to put out a fire in the 6th inning and keep the Astros in front 9-6. Dallas Keuchel went 5 2/3, giving up 10 hits and 6 runs, walking 2 and fanning 9. Now Kevin Chapman's warming up. Giants and Dodgers underway. No score, bottom of the 1st inning. Clayton Kershaw pitching for LA against Madison Bumgarner. Fouled away 1 and 2. You know, we talk about 2014 sometimes at this stage of a year. And what about that Giant team? Boy, they've got some people who are on the last years of their contracts in the starting rotation. Some guys who are very highly compensated and underproducing big time this year. That's going to be interesting to watch them over the winter, Ash.
You know, I haven't followed the Giants, excuse me, enough to know if injuries have played a part and if Bruce Bochy is feeling like, you know, if we just get these guys, this core group of guys healthy again, we'll be fine. Or are they just simply in that spot after winning a couple of World Series that they've got to turn things around and rebuild it?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to follow. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Trout. Clayton Kershaw had a hitless 1st inning. The Dodgers playing at home tonight against the Giants, and now the Dodgers are batting in the bottom of the 1st. Their big lead in the NL West. That's another non-race. We've got some blowout races this year, with the Dodgers up by 12.5 coming into play today. The Braves up by 11. Detroit has a 6-game lead on Cleveland, and Boston 8.5 in front of Tampa Bay. This is just a guess, but I don't remember a September with just over 2 weeks to go with this big a lead in so many divisions, Ash, for a while.
I honestly can't think of another one comparable to this either. Generally, you've got a couple of divisions where you'll find some kind of a blowout going on, but there are some wide spreads right now.
So the wild card is helping to create some of those races for postseason spots, and that's a leadoff walk for Trout.
This moment in history is brought to you by MD Anderson, making cancer history. September 13th of 1965, Willie Mays of the Giants becomes only the 5th major leaguer to reach 500 home runs when he hits an estimated 430-foot shot off Don Notabart at the Astrodome. I think Willie hit a few of those in his days.
Now it's Mark Trumbo. He has a 2-run triple, a strikeout, and a walk. Double play ball here. Altuve with a backhanded flip. VR. 4-6-3. Twin killing. 17th Trumbo has grounded into this year.
You know, Brownie, I grew up a Dodger fan, and therefore we hated the Giants and all that sort of thing. Didn't have many games on TV. As you watch this gorgeous double play, and that throw, a bit on the high side, but nice to have Chris Carter there in that regard. But when I did get to see some games on TV, it was the Dodgers and Giants, and Willie Mays, of course, the center featured player in that matchup. And boy, what a player he was.
Ball 1 to Hamilton, who struck out 3 times. Just a superb player. It almost seemed that he got so bored playing center field that he would run out from underneath his cap every now and then, make it look a little flashier than it needed to be when he made a catch.
Could it be flashier than the basket catch?
Not really. 1-on-1. Now that you bring it up, that was kind of the beginning of the styling among outfielders, right?
It sure was. I didn't find myself aware of that fact at that time, but the game was too easy for him. He had to find another way.
Fouled away in 1-2. I don't know what it is about this, Ash, but Josh Hamilton batting against right-handed pitching just looks so much different, doesn't he? You see the races and their blowouts for the most part. And if Oakland wins this game tonight, that's a 4.5 game lead on Texas. That's going to make it rough for the Rangers to overcome that. You know, you have to think about things before you say them this time of year. But the gauntlet will have been laid down if the Rangers lose this 4.5 back. You know, realistically, you'd be thinking they would have to win the next 2 and take that series, right? Or it looks pretty desperate for them.
Yeah, I was feeling like going into the series they needed to sweep.
Yep.
And I can't say that that's an absolute necessity, but losing 1 in the series crushes their chances.
Yes, it does. And especially the first one.
Yep. You know, and on top of all of that, I think they're getting crushed with their fans. They coughed it up late last year, and they were viewed to have maybe the team again this year, and it's going the other direction.
That little guy in the blue is awfully unhappy. He doesn't have a baseball, and those girls have one. There's a diving try by Dominguez. It's by him and into left field. Hamilton just looks so much more confident standing up there against right-handed pitching. Looks like he hangs in there better. Oh, he got a ball. This little fella was just all out of sorts.
Now, if I can only have a hot dog. Well, that baseball isn't calming things.
That's not enough to do it.
No, we're going to need more than that, Dad. Yeah, I agree with you. Hamilton found that left side wide open aside from Dominguez and got a pitch away out over the outside edge.
Good hitting.
You're going to put the shift on. You got to pitch toward it.
And he hit it hard. Iannetta was strike 1. Iannetta 2 for 3 tonight. A homer and a double for Chris. Tigers beat the Royals 6-3. Justin Verlander going to 13-11, beating Bruce Chen, who's 7-3. Joaquin Benoit picking up his 19th save. Prince Fielder his 24th homer. Tigers have won 85 already.
Max Scherzer's been struggling.
He has been. What do you think? Is he still a lock for Cy Young?
Boy, I would have said no chance that anybody has any run at him at all. But after that last start, it was a bit of a cough. I can't see how anybody can take that award away. Great season. I was wondering, is he going to be the #1 pitcher in the postseason?
Hit by the pitch. Iannetta gets drilled, and now 2 men on after the double play. The next 2 have reached against De Leon. And the potential tying run comes up here in the 7th for the Angels. Bo Porter has had the lefty Chapman warming up, and Calhoun is on deck. And he's already made the move to the lefty Chapman. The De Leon does get 3 outs, but now 2 men on, and they'll move on deeper into the bullpen to try to extinguish this Angel threat in the 7th inning. With the score, Astros 9, Angels 6.
This Sunday the 15th is Dog Day at Minute Maid Park, brought to you by Purina. Bring your canine companion along to watch the Astros take on the Angels and enjoy a ton of dog-friendly activities. Get your dog's ticket by calling 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com. Speaking of dogs, Alan Ashby, how's your puppy Samson doing?
Well, thanks for asking. He is just fantastic, and I'd love to get him down here to the stadium for Dog Day.
Seems like a good idea.
He's just a spectacular pet. Hate to call him a pet. Actually, I think my wife and I consider him our child, as pretty good discussion goes on here on the field.
Well, it might have something to do with the next hitter, although Calhoun is coming up against Keuchel. There seemed to be something requiring both managers to deliver input to Las Diaz, because Chapman had been brought in the game. Calhoun was in the on-deck circle, but he's facing Calhoun. And Kevin Chapman in 14 innings has allowed 8 hits, walking 9, fanning 9, 1 save and 3 opportunities. Calhoun singled and scored in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 3. It might have been that rule that happened earlier this year with Bo, where he brings in a reliever and the other manager has not announced a pinch hitter.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, I hope that's not the case.
It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
When you bring in a pitcher, the other manager has the right to respond any way he chooses.
Two and one. We didn't see Mike Scioscia did come out and talk with Las Diaz.
I can't even fathom a reason why Mike Scioscia would have been called upon there.
Right.
Mike could pinch hit right now for Calhoun if he chose to.
It's 2-2. Well, certainly this is the matchup Bo Porter wanted. Lefty on lefty here. Chapman worked Wednesday in Seattle, 1 2/3 innings, didn't give up any runs, came in with a 6-1 lead, and then was taken out with the bases loaded, and none of those runners scored. Got his first major league win Monday night at Seattle with a scoreless inning. It's now 3-2 for Kevin Chapman. Another of those who's been successful through the promotions he's had. 25-year-old lefty. He came up from Oklahoma City. Had 61 strikeouts there in 50 2/3 innings. Did not give up an earned run his first 13 major league appearances for a franchise record. Runners going, and it's a fly ball center field. Barnes jumping, and he gets in there with the catch to end the top of the 7th inning. Got a good jump on that. No runs a hit, 2 men stranded. 9-6 Astros. Pre-game live starts at 5:30 only on Comcast Sportsnet.
And now let's take a look at tomorrow's pitching matchups, brought to you by Chevron. Care for your car. And they look something like this. Jared Weaver, generally regarded as the ace of the Angels staff, 9-8 with a 3.38. First career start against the Astros. Brett Overholzer, red hot and pitching great baseball. 4.2, 2.65 the earning. Since his recall from the minor leagues, 191 that ERA.
Overholzer watching here as the Angels have made a move to the bullpen, bringing in Ryan Brazier, a right-hander. He's pitcher number 4. Juan Gutierrez in 1 inning, allowed 1 hit, no runs, had no walks and 1 strikeout. And Brazier has no decisions in 4 games. His ERA is 3.00.
Well, that's always intriguing when a right-hander is holding down left-handers to that extent. 111 on the batting average. Usually a great changeup, splitter, something involved like that on the changeup side of things.
Well, we'll look for that as he works to the middle of the lineup. Trevor Crowe will give him a left-handed hitter. And Trevor is 2 for 3 in this game. He drove in 2 in the 5th inning with a single up the middle. Very important hit as the Astros grabbed the lead 5-4 on that one. And they went on to get a grand slam from Matt Dominguez later in the inning. He's looking at ball 1.
Good live arm here. 95 on the first heater.
It's a liner headed for the left field corner. Good play over there by Cowgill to hold Crow to a single. And that's a 3rd straight single for Trevor Crow in this game. That's good positioning and a nice jump by Cowgill to make it only a single for Crow.
Jeff Blum goes back home. Trevor Crow gets hot. Look at this job. Slicing, dicing, just carving away, going the other way. Beautiful work.
Has Trevor requested that Jeff stay away for a while?
He may have. We'll have to check and see. We don't get all the mandates on the ball club, but that could be one.
Mark Krause coming up for the Astros to pinch hit for Brandon Laird. Laird was 0 for 2, was hit by a pitch, scored a run. Krause has been working in some playing time. And now he comes up in this pinch hitting role, looking down at his third base coach, Dave Tremblay. And stepping up now to try to deliver a big blow off the bench. He's hit safely in his last 4 games, 198, 3 homers, 12 runs batted in for Krause. That one almost got away off the mid of Iannetta. He scrambles, fires, and no throw back to first as Crow was able to retrace his steps.
Sure do see a fastball that runs away on left-hand hitters here. This one a little more extreme than what we saw earlier, but it's like one of those guys who create that running movement away from left-hand hitters.
Well, if Johnny Manziel were a base runner, he probably would be doing that sort of thing.
I don't think he'd stop. I see no chance of him stopping.
Dominguez is on deck. He can reverse field, can't he? Fun to watch.
I was going to say, if a tag was awaiting at the bag, I might bet on his chances of avoiding that tag.
How'd you like to be a 300-pound lineman chasing him?
You know, that's not so bad. It's the guys that are expected to catch him, the DBs that can't do it. They get the heat.
Throw over to first. And Trumbo had to be ready to react on that one. And a quick throw by Brazier. Brazier dropped down a little bit on his throw.
Yeah, you could see the feet were spinning. There were considerations right there for heading towards second.
Brazier's from Wichita Falls, Texas. Went to Weatherford Community College. Go to first again. 26 years old. 6th round pick in 07. Fans do not like these repeated throws over from Ryan Brazier.
It meets the requirements for what bullpen guys are becoming more and more, that mid-90s type of fastball.
That's into right field. Krause got out in front of it and hooked it on through the right side to make it first and second, nobody out, with a pinch hit, taking his hitting streak to 5 games for Mark Krause.
Well, the Astros left-handed bats are not having a problem with Brazier. Ball not crushed, but location generally is king.
That's 13 hits for the Astros. This club has put together 4 very solid offensive games now. $25 runs for the Astros in the previous 3 games. That's the second best offensive total for this Astros team in 2013. in any 3-game span, and now they've followed that up with a huge offensive night here. Mike Butcher talking it over as Bull Porter's club has stirred up even more trouble for the Angels in the 7th.
Dominguez has been the big man. This swing, the big swing of the night, the grand slam. And we mentioned it, his 20th home run on the year, his 2nd grand slam. He is turning into one of those power-hitting third basemen.
And that's ball 1 to Matt.
Everybody's got one, right? Oh, no, they actually don't. People talk about the corner guys have to hit with power. And you look around baseball and you don't necessarily find first and third, right and left as your big power hitters all the time. But Matt Dominguez is becoming that guy.
Snap throw to first. Krause diving back in. It's not that the runner at first would have that big a lead in this situation, but sometimes he tends to lose focus a little bit, so the catcher will pick on that guy and try to get him going back into the base sometimes.
You're not the lead runner. You start to feel a little comfy down there, and if that first baseman slips behind, you can find yourself in trouble.
Would that be just a kind of a daylight play for you as a catcher to just keep your eye out on what's going on with movement at first base, and you see that first baseman dart over there, Ash?
Can be, can go either way. You might see a pitch or two where a guy is just taking a lazy long lead at first, and you lock eyes with your first baseman. If you have a preset place to touch that says I'm coming your way and get a response, love to set those up.
Dominguez takes, and it's 3-1.
Quite frankly, a lot of infielders these days can get pretty casual, lackadaisical, hanging back and not wanting to create that play. So without it being set up, oftentimes you just don't see anything happen.
In the air, foul, and back for strike 2. It's 3-2. Red Sox beat the Yankees 8-4 in Boston for their 90th win. And a grand slam by Jared Saltalamacchia. That came in the 4th inning. Brandon Workman won it, beating Hiroki Kuroda. Kuroda goes to 11-11. That's a tough loss for Joe Girardi. Dominguez works a walk, and the bases are loaded with nobody out, and Chris Carter coming up.
It's that type of loss between now and that final 3 games of the season for the Yankees that could lead to Mariano Rivera not pitching at all in that 3-game set here in Houston.
Our guess is that if the Yankees are out of it, he won't pitch.
And I think it stands to reason. I think deference will go to Yankees fans in New York, and he'll make his last appearance there, provided the Yankees are out of things.
Now Chris Carter with the infield in. He's 0 for 3. 2 strikeouts and a foul pop to first. AT HOU's on deck. In the air to right field. Calhoun coming over. All the runners tagging. Here's the catch. The throw comes in toward the plate. And here's the tag by Iannetta. What a tremendous throw from Calhoun in right. And Trevor Crowe is gunned down. Well, that's a double play from 9-2. Krause moving to third as Crowe is pegged out by Calhoun from right.
That's a right fielder's arm. Very well done in right field. And what I love on the play, aside from the obvious on this throw, watch Iannetta with the glove putting it down ground level and holding it there. You can't get beat that way. If you reach up to the knee, the thigh area, you can easily get beat, but you drop it right down there a la Brad Ausmus, and you're going to win that battle. Great throw.
Impressive arm from Calhoun in right. And Krause tagged and went to third on the play. AT HOU takes a strike. That's 3 double plays in the last 4 innings for the Angels. That could really change the complexion of things in the 8th and 9th if they can keep it at a 3-run deficit. That's in the dirt, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
Yeah, generally you hear about these really good arms. You know, I talk about not getting beat by putting the glove down on the ground. You don't want to reach. You want to keep it close to you. And I would have to say that Trevor Crowe probably tapped himself some home plate ahead of the tag.
Close call for last Diaz. 2 balls and a strike.
Infielders, catchers, teach yourself early on, don't reach with tags.
Cody Clark's on deck. It's 2-2 to Hose. Nationals beat the Phillies in Washington 6-1 for their 7th straight win. Ross Ohlendorf went to 4-0 with a victory, beating Kyle Kendrick. He goes to 10-13. Ryan Sandberg has done some good things with that Phillies club, but they lost tonight on the road. Hose is down on strikes, so the double play is very big in the 7th inning for the Angels. It's 9-6 Astros.
Faith and Family Night is back tomorrow night, followed by an inspiring pregame or make that postgame concert featuring David Crowder. Your game ticket is also your ticket to the concert. Call 1-877-9-ASTROS or visit astros.com for your tickets.
Always a good night at the park. We've talked about the pitching matchup for tomorrow night. 6:10 is game time for Brett Oberholzer and Jared Weaver. You mentioned Oberholzer earlier in the run that he's been on with a 2.65 ERA, making a very strong bid to be in that starting rotation for 2014. You'd have to say he'd probably have a lock on a job as of right now, wouldn't you, Ash?
It would seem that way. How about Brad Peacock and what he's been doing? There are some guys really vying to try to lock those opportunities down and do it this year.
Now it's Colin Cowgill leading it off in the 8th inning. Cowgill is 0 for 3. Kevin Chapman throws, and it's strike 1. It's always interesting to try to read into some of the quotes from this time of year, but Jeff Luhnow was quoted today in the Houston Chronicle about Asher Wojciechowski. 1 ball, 1 strike, who had a terrific year. He started at AA Corpus Christi, and then he was bumped up to AAA Oklahoma City. And Jeff Luhnow said he's going to have a chance to fight for the 4th or 5th spot in our rotation next spring, or if not, be at AAA ready to come up. And then he talked about the upcoming class of pitching in the article by Jose de Jesus Ortiz. Talked about Vincent Velasquez, Lance McCullers, Mike Foltynewicz, Wojciechowski, Brady Rogers, the guys who were already here. Very impressive group assembled to go to spring training in 2014. And there are others, of course. There'll be somebody's aunt listening who says, hey,
what about?
Well, of course, Mark Appel. But we could go on for a while with these names.
Sounded to me like you already did. That's a pretty good list.
It's enough.
And it's not a complete list.
3 balls, 2 strikes. So in terms of the way the farm system is stocked, if you want to say, with talent, it would be pitching and catching, in which they are very rich right now. Dominguez on the foul ball, moved over for it. It's still 3 balls and 2 strikes. And those both are very strong commodities that every team would like to have. But, you know, people say, well, you can't have too much pitching. So you assemble all this pitching, and you let these guys battle it out and see who makes it first. And then you have the next wave coming up in case of arm injuries and things like that. Or you have some trade chips in case you need an outfielder, we'll say, something like that.
And you want those talented guys up the middle, too. You talk about the catcher. Carlos Correa is the youngster at shortstop that figures to be not too far away for a teenager. George Springer in center field. Terrific season. So there's a lot of great stuff online.
Yes, there is. Leadoff walk to Cowgill. And Lancaster, of course, had an excellent season. Delino DeShields, who will be moving back to the outfield now. He was the second baseman this year, stole 51. MP Kokonos had an outstanding year, driving in 94. Andrew Applin drove in 107, just three of the top players. And there were many, many fine players at Lancaster this year. Some of them got promoted on up to Corpus Christi.
Big numbers for a minor league season. Delino DeShields now being moved to the outfield.
This one gets by Cody Clark, and a wild pitch to Romine sends the base runner Cowgill on to second.
So might we at some time in the next year or so see Delino DeShields playing in the outfield?
I think there are many possibilities. You know, you hate to close the door. There are going to be opportunities for rapid advancement. We've certainly seen so much advancement this year throughout the minor leagues. And from AAA to the big leagues, it's been something to take note of. Romine takes a ball, and spring training ought to be really intriguing. Josh Zeid is warming up in the bullpen. In that article by Jesus Ortiz, also the comments were made by Jeff Luhnow about the piggyback starts, so to speak. One pitcher would start and go 4 innings, we'll say, and then another guy would go 4 in relief, and then they'd flip-flop them the next time through the rotation. And he felt that that was really a major contributor in keeping the pitchers healthy this year. And then once that thinned out, they might have, we'll say, 4 spots in a rotation shared by 8 pitchers, and then they'd flip-flop. But then that got thinned out after, what, 6 or 7 weeks into usually 6-man rotations, as we've seen with the Astros here. Just a way to hold the innings down and keep everybody healthy, and that has largely been a big success. And there's a walk now, back-to-back walks, presenting this threat with a 3-run ball game and sending Cody Clark out to talk with Chapman.
A couple of walks now, and Kevin Chapman, if you look at his numbers as Bo Porter's going to go to the bullpen again, Kevin Chapman in the minor leagues this year, a load of walks, and now 11 in 14 and a third innings on the big league level. So that free pass is becoming an issue.
And it also prompts the pitching change with the score 9-6 Houston. Back in a moment.
He celebrates 11 years. Keep up with the pennant races and catch the rest of the 2013 season in HD quality. Watch every out-of-market game live on more than 350 mobile and connected devices. Visit MLB.tv today. Bill Brown, you mentioned Mike Fultonevich, the pitcher for the Corpus Christi Hooks. There's a T-shirt going around Corpus Christi that has a 103 on the front, and then he has long blonde hair. So the 103 is a hat, and then his blonde hair on top of it. But hey, when you can hit 103 on a radar gun, I say you deserve a shirt, right?
Absolutely. Do you think Ash and I could get one of those?
I think we all should get one of those.
If you can hit 103, you deserve a whole lot more than a T-shirt.
Fair point.
Josh Zeid, 0-1, a 5.12 ERA. Just got his first major league save, and that was in the Seattle series on Wednesday night, the 6-1 win. And now a line drive offside. It goes out to the left side of the infield. Dominguez does not have a play, and the bases are loaded as Ibar smashed one back at Zeid, and it trickled over toward Dominguez, but that slowed it down so much that Ibar winds up with his 3rd straight hit. Now bases loaded, nobody out.
It's a lot of body on the part of Zeid to get in front of shots. Boy, play like that, if you somehow come up with it cleanly, just don't know what might follow in the inning. You might be able to get the double play, maybe the triple play.
Right biceps area, maybe. Rex Jones went right out to take a look, and now Zeid will be working some pitches.
Clearly he had the presence to be able to get the leather flying in that direction.
Howie Kendrick will be the batter, as the Angels now have 12 hits to the Astros 13. It's a real slugfest tonight, and these teams just keep coming back at each other. Zeid came in with the bases loaded, and Chapman also preceded him to the mound in that previous game Wednesday night. And And then he got the final 4 outs in the 6-1 win for his first save. Now he faces Kendrick. Kendrick 2 for 4. Pretty good looking pitch, but as Diaz called it, ball 1.
Yeah, this game is still up in the air. Red Auerbach clearly has not brought out the cigar yet.
It's still deep in the box. Michael Kahn is warming up. Off the end of the bat, it's to shallow right field. AT HOU's coming in for it, and the runners cannot advance. Too shallow. 1 out. Very big out there for Zide. Now if he could get a double play ball, and guess who's hitting? Trout. That's tough. That could be a way to clean up the inning.
Yeah, the only way you get that double play with Trout at the plate is one of his rockets hit right at an infielder.
That's about it. And there's his night. 0 for 2 with a pair of walks. Trout has grounded into 7 double plays in 542 at bats. Strike 1 to Trout. Anthony Rizzo hit a 2-run homer for the Cubs. They knocked off the Pirates in Pittsburgh 5-4. Carlos Villanueva won it. Jason Grilli was the loser, and Kevin Gregg got his 32nd save. Grilli's now working in middle relief. 1-1 while Mark Melancon continues to be the closer, but if Grilli returns to top form, that could always change.
The Pirates have been proving they're not in it this year just to have a winning record. They want to win that division.
They really do, and there's a substantial difference between winning the division and being a wild card team. So the Buccos have lost, but Cincinnati also trails 5-1 at Milwaukee in the bottom of the 8th. Oh, these two clubs are going to be kicking themselves if they lose to the Cubs and the Brewers tonight. 3 balls and a strike, but how often do you see it in a race? It happens all the time that a lesser light team with no pressure at all wins a game like this deep in the season against a contender.
Early in the year, all the critics of a particular club were saying, yeah, but you've got to be able to beat the good clubs. And then you start beating the good clubs and you lose a couple of games to one of the lower division teams and they just rake you over the coals. Everybody can win.
Big cut by Trout, and he let it fly on 3-1, but came up with air. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, bases loaded.
Just high cheddar.
Kyle Loesch got the complete game 4 hitter for Milwaukee to beat Matt Latos in that game. That's a punch foul.
That's a unique ability right there that Mike Trout has. A pitch well off the outside corner. He's not going to put it in the umpire's hands. So he offers and puts the ball pretty close to on the barrel as he lines it down the right side.
That was impressive.
He's going to get worn out one of these years finishing second in the batting race in the American League.
He takes ball 4, and that forces in run number 7 for the Angels. It's 9-7. Trout picks up an RBI, his 86th of the year. He's walked 3 times in the game. That's 97 walks for him this year. 3rd walk of the inning.
He's got an on-base percentage approaching .440 right now.
Now it's Zide, and it's Trumbo squaring off. Trumbo with that 2-run triple in the 3rd inning, 1 for 3 with a walk. And strike 1. Trumbo drives the pitch away from him so very well. That one fooled him a little bit. It's 1-1. Zide came up to the Astros in late July, made his big league debut at Baltimore in that series. Been involved in several tight situations, has 4 holds in addition to that 1 save. Foul away, and it's 1-2. Guys in the Houston bullpen really are competing in many ways for the pecking order for spring training next year. Zide one of those at age 26 from New Haven, Connecticut. He went to Tulane and also Vanderbilt.
He's got that legit mid-90s arm.
Double play ball here. VR to Altuve. Altuve on to Carter. And that ends the top of the 8th inning with 1 run scoring on 1 hit and 2 men left. It's 9-7 Astros here in the 8th. Time brought to you by Miller Lite. And we show you a special moment for a guy who's worked 11 years to get to the major leagues. He was 0 for 25 until that at bat in the 5th inning tonight. And that touched off a 6-run frame.
Fun for everybody involved, everybody on the Astros side. You can see the genuine smile and the care that everybody has for him. He's become a real favorite.
Native of Fayetteville, Arkansas, went to the University of Arkansas and also Wichita State. Lives in Conway, Arkansas. Grant Green has checked into second base for Howie Kendrick, so Kendrick may have aggravated that injury, which had kept him out for weeks. This was his first start in quite a while. Cody Clark leads it off now in the home 8th inning. The Astros up 9-7. They've out-hit the Angels 13-12, and he fouls that one for strike 1. Clark 1 for 3 tonight. Such a great story. He had been at AAA Oklahoma City. He had just been sent to AA Corpus Christi, and then the Astros called him up. This one goes to center field. Trout is there. And it was an unexpected call up for Cody Clark with other younger catchers in front of him at AAA. And then that opportunity presented itself when AAA club, of course, was in that race to go to the PCL playoffs, which it did. And the Astros wanted to keep that roster intact and also needed catching help here because of 2 concussion injuries to Max Stassi and Carlos Corcoran. And then he gets the excitement of being called up, but then goes through that deflating experience of being 0 for 25. Strike to Brandon Barnes. So now at last a happy moment has arrived for him tonight. Wouldn't it be terrible to go through a September call up in his case and not ever get a hit?
It'd be miserable. You get that opportunity, you don't seize it. I don't know that he's going to feel like he seized it because he got a base hit or 5 or whatever. But I'll tell you what he has seized. He's shown everybody that he can really play defensively. And I don't know what the future holds, but if you get to that point where you need some catching help, Cody Clark is going to be remembered.
I'm pretty impressed by the work of him and Matt Pagnozzi behind the dish. Barnes strikes out. That's out number 2. Second strikeout for Brazier.
Yeah, you're right. Matt Pagnozzi, the other name, and very talented in terms of that defensive side of the game.
By the way, Max Stassi is saying that he is quite a bit improved from his concussion, but he remains on the disabled list. Now Jonathan VR, he's 2 for 4.
When you see what a concussion did to the career of a guy like Justin Morneau, and it was such a benign looking play, hard to believe, but it just turned things around on his career.
A shot up the middle, and VR gets his 3rd hit.
And the point being, you don't want to see that happen to one of your youngsters coming up with a lot of high hopes on him.
You know, there have been 18 players put on the disabled list in the major leagues this year with head injuries.
Hard to believe.
Some concussions, some not. But
and it never used to be even discussed. It wasn't even on the radar.
14 hits for the Astros, 3 for VR. His buddy Altuve has a chance to match his 3. But he has a 3-run homer and a single. 7 of the Astros' 9 runs coming on 2 homers. Grand slam by Dominguez in the 6-run 5th. I don't know that we could say that about an Astros game in 2013, Ash. A grand slam and a 3-run homer in the same game.
Maybe not. Certainly helps the offensive cause, though, doesn't it?
Oh.
It's nice to get 14 hits, but give me a couple of big home runs.
Pitch out that time. VR with his 17 steals not going. Well, Layla brought us up to date on the team batting average in September with runners in scoring position. So as this game began tonight, the last few had gone exceptionally well for the hitters, and they've certainly built on it with the 14 hits and 9 runs. VR was leaning a little bit, and then he got back. The Mariners and Cardinals are in the top of the 10th in St. Louis, tied at 1. Mike Zunino hit his 3rd home run. Cardinals getting a golden opportunity with what Cincinnati and Pittsburgh are doing tonight. They could be moving back into first ahead of Pittsburgh. Cardinal club, though, has been without Yadier Molina. His mother not in good health, according to reports. He and his brother, the hitting coach of the Cardinals, have gone back to Puerto Rico to be with her. They got him picked off. He didn't even move back to first. And Trumbo missed the tag. Gets it back to the pitcher. And now on to Green. And he goes to the dirt again, but he's tagged out. So the Astros have had some difficulties on the bases tonight. And it's 1-3, 1-4. It's 9-7 going to the 9th. By Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And by Jack in the Box. Go big at participating Jack in the Box with Jack's really big chicken sandwich combos for only $3.99 plus tax. We go to the 9th inning, and it has been quite a battle tonight. The Astros have built a lead. It's now 9-7. They've out-hit the Angels 14-12. No errors tonight. It comes down to Josh Fields in the 9th inning. He is pitcher number 5, and he'll be facing Hamilton, Iannetta, and Calhoun.
Outing number 36 on the year for Fields. And he's done a nice job. He's allowed 28 hits in 32 innings. Walking 14, a number you'd love to shave down a bit, but 32 strikeouts. So the type of stuff you look for when you're looking potentially for a closer. 8 home runs. That's a figure that probably jumps out on the negative side.
4 saves and 5 opportunities, giving him late season chances. And now it's Josh Hamilton leading it off. Hamilton's 1 for 4. Singled through the left side in the 7th inning after 3 strikeouts. Altuve's on the grass in right field. Broken bat roller off the mound. Crazy spin on it for VR, and he just got him by a half step.
Boy, that's way too close for a play like this on Josh Hamilton. And I think that's just all part of the maturation process for Jonathan VR. How much do you have to put into each play? Kind of lays back a little bit and gets his man. He didn't waste anything in getting him.
Big stretch by Chris Carter helped him. That's out number 1 on 1 pitch. Now it's Chris Iannetta. Iannetta has a homer, a double, and he was hit by a pitch. By the way, just checking, Yadier Molina is back with the Cardinals and in the lineup tonight. Strike 1 to Iannetta. And for Josh Fields, he got his 4th save of the year Monday night. Picked up a couple of saves on the road trip, 1 in Oakland, 1 in Seattle. Survived a Brad Miller homer in getting that most recent save. He came in with a 3-run lead in the 9th inning. Fastball at 94. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Sashi Iwakuma went 7 shutout innings for Seattle at St. Louis tonight. Adam Wainwright 8 innings of 1-run ball for the Cardinals. They're tied at 1 in the 10th. curveball, and he tried to check, and he did check on appeal to Mark Wegner at first. It's 2-1 to Iannetta.
It's a filthy-looking curveball possessed by Fields. That over-the-top job can be tough to throw for actual called strikes. Sometimes you can get that half swing on that one in the dirt.
Iannetta fouls it off the umpire, Laz Diaz, for a 2-ball, 2-strike count. 19,742 the paid attendance tonight. Indians won a big one, beating the White Sox in Chicago 3-1. They have forced themselves into the picture in the wild card race. Luis Perez got his 24th save. It's foul back. Padres beat the Braves in Atlanta 4-3. Johnny McCann hit his 20th homer, Justin Upton number 25 for the Braves. And the Rays shut out the Twins in Minnesota 3-0. Chris Archer winning his 9th, beating Kevin Correa. Fernando Rodney getting his 35th save.
Love Archer. Boy, he's really looking good.
There's a strikeout for Fields, and it's out number 2. Now 1 out to go for a 4-game winning streak for the Astros.
Stay tuned for Postgame Live, presented by MD Anderson, making cancer history.
It's Cole Calhoun batting. He singled in the 4th and scored a run, 1 for 4. Hank Conger comes out to the on-deck circle. Strike to Calhoun. Astros got 6 in the 5th. At that point, they led 9-4. Dallas Keuchel is the pitcher of record. He went 5 2/3. It's a 1-1 count, and Fields is the 4th reliever to work in this game for Bo Porter. Astros with a win tonight would take their September record to 7-5. Pitch right there in the inside slot for a 1-2 count now.
How about that changeup with good running movement on it?
It did.
Starts it inside, and then it just drifts back to the corner.
Friday night crowd up, a lot of them wearing their orange shirts. Fireworks after the game. We've seen a lot of hitting tonight. See a strikeout at the end of it as Josh Fields ends this ball game and gets save number 5. Dallas Keuchel, his 6th win of the year, and the Astros along the way did some blasting. Brandon Barnes with a couple of hits. First major league hit for Cody Clark. 2nd grand slam of the year for Matt Dominguez. Jose Altuve, 2 more hits, including a 3-run shot. 3 hits for Jonathan Villar. It's a happy night here in Houston for the Astros. They beat the Angels. The final score is Houston 9, the Angels 7.